fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. And this is the pre-Boston episode. And it's going to be long. It could be 6 hours long. Or it could be 2. I don't know. But it's going to be long. It's going to be very entertaining. I've got a lot of guests on today, believe it or not. I've got 3 guests that will be on today. And so, man, we're going to have fun with it, right? And been pretty serious as of late, so we're going to have fun with this one. All right, so to start this off, Shirt Day is Wednesday. I know I started it out as Wednesday, and somebody said that was the Veterans Day, Shirt Day, and so I changed it to Thursday, which is the Political Action Fund Day. Come to find out that the Shirt Day for Veterans is Friday, and the Political Action Fund Shirt Day is Thursday. So, From 8 Arbitration Shirt Day will be Wednesday. I'm not going to change it again. If they have fucked that up, I'm not changing it again. It'll be Wednesday, all right? So I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but holy shit, we've had 18 different days, and so it's going to be Wednesday. It's going to be Shirt Day, all right? So the raffle, 50-50 raffle that we've been promoting here, a lot of people said that their banks don't do the Zelle. And so they have other ways to get tickets, all right? It says if you have a Venmo account, you can reach out to their branch. From our branch, they can scan or enter at branch 825 MDA. All right? At branch 825 MDA. It says if they can't buy tickets through Zelle or Venmo, if you want to let the listeners know that I'll be selling tickets at the convention and we'll be taking cash the whole week. I'll be there on Sunday selling tickets at branch 825 booth. All right, so at branch 825 booth. So I'll say that again. They have a Venmo account. You can scan or enter at branch 825 MDA. All right. And that's a good way to get those tickets because a lot of people said they were having issues with their that Zelle. Again, that's for the 50-50 raffle. All proceeds to benefit MDA. The drawing is Friday, August 9th, 2024 at the NALC Convention Center in Boston. Only 5,000 tickets are available. Now, that was a while back. $12,500 prize if all the tickets are sold, and it's $5 each ticket. And the Zelle only accepted until July 31st. Now we know that they have Venmo, okay? So there's that. A lot of stuff we're going to talk about today about the convention. First off, Butch Lau. Butch Lau. That is my mole. I told y'all when he retires, I'm going to say his name. Because I know a lot of times I'll say somebody told me something, y'all like, he's full of shit. And I was like, when this guy retires, I'll tell you, he's one of them. I still have some very good ones, but it was Butch Lau. And he called me the other day to tell me he had retired. And I said, man, I finally get to tell my listeners your name. And so he asked what that was about. And I told him, he's like, hell, I don't care. He said, I'm retired. But Butch is the one who called me about the memos. When I said that somebody called me and said, what in the hell were y'all doing signing those memos? And I thought it was due to the times put on there, and he was talking about the scanners, that they had been waiting, that was the Trojan horse, that they're waiting for a signature from one of us that would allow them to watch us and track us. And so he was the one who said that. He was the one who said, what were y'all thinking? And when you look at the memos, it says, you know, that these things will be done inside this TRAP process, that both parties will watch us through the scanners and they will question us based off of that scanner data, which to me is the most idiotic shit I've ever heard. You never agree that we can be watched and tracked. I don't give a fuck what it's for. I don't care if it's for a TRAP process, a MERAP process, whatever kind of process. You never agree that carriers can be watched and have to defend themselves based off of things they do while they're delivering mail. We've got enough shit to do when we're out there on the street and have to worry about two dumb fuckers questioning us about what we're doing on the street. And that motherfucker should have been fired for that shit, because you do not put us in that position. And too many people on social media say, well, you know, if you're doing what's right, then you don't have to worry about it. I'm always doing what's right, and I worry about it. I'm always doing what's right, and I don't like it. I don't like being tracked and watched every fucking second of my day. We're timed from the time we walk in that door to the time we walk out. We're the only craft that's like that. They watch us every second. Every second is accounted for. And our president is the one who has done that. And so when Butch called me and said, what were y'all thinking? They were waiting on y'all. That was what he was talking about. Because now you look at what they've done. TRAP is dead, right? As far as I know, the memos are gone. So are they still watching us? Yes. Are they still tracking us? Yes. So it never had anything to do with these memos. They wanted the door opened for them to do that. I've got minutes, and I'm going to read these on another episode. I'm not going to read them today because this episode is going to be too long. But somebody sent me the minutes of their training about stationary events. This happened after the memos had expired. The training they went through about capturing all of this stationary time. And they tell them we're no longer going to call it stationary time. We're going to call it inactivity time. I guess that's more palatable. Inactivity time. So they're ramping up, watching us, spying on us, tracking us, doing training nationwide about inactivity time, stationary time, sending messages out on scanners, constantly fucking with us about stationary time. It's the single greatest thing that's happened to us adversely. And our president is at fault for it. He is the main culprit behind it because he signed that into existence, knowing that they were going to bastardize that, and this is what was going to happen. And if he didn't, he's more culpable for it than he was before he signed it. If you had no idea that this was going to happen, you're more culpable because you're ignorant and you have no business being in your position. That's the reason I say that you should have tenure on this floor so you can see things like that coming. He didn't see it coming. It's because he's not spent time on this floor and he's a fucking idiot. But, so that's what Butch Lau was talking about. But so he was my mole. I'll tell you a funny story about Butch. I've known Butch for about, 25 years. We go way back. And when I first became shop steward, my president put me over, we had an accident review where they would come in with their accident forms. We'd sit down with the carrier and review the accident. I was a hard liner. We were never at fault. And so it didn't matter. It didn't matter if we fell out of the vehicle and it ran over, eight hedgerows. We weren't at fault. And it drove Butch nuts. And because it didn't matter what happened. We were never at fault. It was always management's fault. And so we didn't start out too well. I don't know if y'all remember when I talked about the episode about the coward, the quitter, and the boogeyman. When Pete came up to me and threw that book on the table when I was at regional training, I said, "What's that?" And he said, "That's your second chance." And I said, "The boogeyman was back." I said, "That motherfucker was back." Well, that was me being put on the NALC USPS Safety Task Force. I was the co-chair for the Tennessee District. Butch was the guy that I was on there with. He was management's counterpart to me, was Butch. Now, back then, Greg Gamble was our district manager, and he calls us into his office. And this is honest to God's truth, and I'll give the man credit. He said, "What do y'all need to make my carrier safer?" And that's what he said. He said, "What do y'all need to make my carrier safer?" And I said, "You've got to send out a memo that we're going to come into each and every station in the district. We're going to talk to the carriers. We're going to educate the carriers." He said, "Done." He said, "What else do y'all need?" And so he gave us carte blanche, And we led the eastern area in the reduction of vehicle accidents, motor vehicle accidents, and ocean I&Is. We were number one in the southern area. We were killing it. I mean, we were on fire. And so Butch and I were going everywhere, educating carriers on how to park, proper dismount procedures, curb and wheels, all these different things, ocean I&Is. And so we were number one in the southern area. Well, Bruce Getz was the southern manager. And he's the piece of shit that I told y'all when we were having those discussions about how to protect our carriers from the heat. And I said, well, if you want to keep the carriers off the street, let them stick their DPS. That will cut down the time that we're on the street in the heat. And he said that ops told him that we couldn't do that because it would affect our efficiency. So, again, the numbers are more important than y'all's safety. And I've said that over and over again. Everything they do is based off of the numbers. Just like these stationary events, it's inactivity time. It's based solely off getting those numbers, getting those times down. Everything is based off of numbers. And so Bruce Getz, that dumb fucker, said, you know, it's about efficiency. Anyway, he calls us. And he says, hey, we're going to do a teleconference area-wide. Everybody's going to be on it. He said, we want y'all to get on here and tell everybody y'all's plan. You know, what are y'all doing that's so successful? And we were like, okay, that's fine. When is this teleconference? It's Friday. Well, that's the day that we were together. We would go out into all these different stations. We had planned on 2 or 3 stations to go to. We're like, okay, that's fine. We'll be together. And so that'll be easy for us. So we're out there driving around on this Friday. Butch hated talking. He hated talking to people in front of people, even though it was on a teleconference. And so he said, hey, do you mind telling? I said, I don't mind telling everybody. He said, good. So we had this thing written down, our plan, how we were doing it, how we're cutting all these accidents and stuff. So we pull into this gas station right as this teleconference is starting, right? So he says, oh, we're sitting there and Bruce Getz comes on. He's like, all right, everybody, got all these people, you know, kind of roll call. It's like, Tennessee, y'all with us? Yeah, we're here. All right. Now, Tennessee, y'all got some absurd numbers. Y'all are doing really well on reducing motor vehicle accidents and ocean I&Is. He said, so I would like for y'all, if y'all don't mind, just to tell us how y'all are doing it, y'all's game plan. And he said, just take however time while he's talking, I get out. I get out of the vehicle and shut the door and walk off. Butch is looking at me. He's cussing me, you know, you can see him. Get back in here, you motherfucker. Get back in here. I just walk into the gas station, get me something to drink. He had to sit there and tell his game plan. And the only reason that's so funny is because if y'all knew this guy, he hated public speaking. He hated it. But it's just funny because I was like, yeah, I don't mind doing it, man. And he's like, you know, you'll do it, right? Oh, yeah, I'll do it. Bruce in there tells us to do it. I just get out and walk off. And so when I get back, he's like, you motherfucker, you. He said, why in the fuck did you do that? I said, because you're not going to tell me what to do. That's why I did it. He said, I wasn't telling you what to do. I said, yeah, you did. You told me I was going to do it. I said, you don't tell me what to do. And so I just got out and left him. But anyway, I'll never forget that. It's still just as funny now as it was back then. Just seeing his face when I just get out and walk off. He's sitting there looking like you son of a bitch. But anyway, that's Butch. And what's the sad thing is that when we got the new district manager, David Dillman, who is a straight up piece of shit. And if anybody's ever known him, he's a straight up doo-doo ball. And he ended it. He ended the program. He kicked, the first thing he did was kick Butch off of it. Now, this was the most effective one in the region. He kicked Butch off of it, put somebody in there from Chattanooga so we can never get together. Butch was at least here in Nashville. This guy in Chattanooga, we couldn't get together. We never went out. You had some teleconferences, but that was, you know, just bullshit. And it died. It died. And just like that. Dillman's the one who came in when they had my flats on the floor. Remember, and I got in his ass? But that was dumbass Dillman. He was about 4'3" and just straight bitch. I think he's retired. But anyway, yeah, but Butch is the one who called me and told me that about this. What were y'all thinking signing those memos? And it's rained hell down on us ever since. It's the single greatest fuck up that a president has done are those memos. Going with the times on the memos, you got. I've said that a million times. Y'all sick of that? You don't put times on memos. That's stupid ass 101. That's rookie ass bullshit 101. You don't put times on memos. But here this dumb fucker does it. You don't put that we can be watched and questioned about things on the street. I don't give a fuck if it's two parties or not. You don't do it. That's just dumbass. What happens is, and I know that a lot of y'all have seen it, some people are so much into this motherfucker's ass. Every time somebody bitches about T-Rap, they get on there. T-Rap was wonderful to us. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread was the T-Rap process. They put 37 minutes into our office, and it has saved us. That's great. But a majority of the people have gotten fucked over by T-Rap. Do you know why? Because management will never do anything like they're supposed to. They will always fuck shit up. And then when you make it to where we can't grieve it, that really fucks shit up. And so his dumbass putting the shit in there that we can be watched. We can't grieve anything. You have royally fucked us over. Because when you get in these meetings with management, and this is what happens to union people, management will get in there and they will bellyache the entire time. Man, we're going under. We can't have carriers doing this. And it's a constant, just like Chinese water torture, that drip, 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 drip. It's constant every day because they're full time, right? They're going in there every day. Every day they're having to hear how sorry we are, how much money we're losing. Look at them, 20 minutes sitting there. You know that they're not working. Eventually, if you have those individuals that are weak-minded, they will give in to that, and they will start taking out time that they shouldn't, and they will start circumventing these memos. They will not have carrier consultations like they should, and they will force these things down our throat because you have district leads that are not doing their job, and then you get into regional leads that are not doing their job. They're dragging their feet. They're taking their time. So the carriers get completely fucked over during this process because we have weak-minded union people in these meetings that are getting the drip, drip, drip of how inefficient we are, how we're fucking people over, how we're losing money. And that's the reason when you come into these agreements that both parties are going to do something, we will always lose. We will always lose. Because I cannot grieve it. And if I get fucked over because of carrier consultations, I cannot grieve that. I've got to send that up. And then they will send that up. And then they will send that up. And all the meanwhile, my station is fucked over. So, all that to say is Butch was my mole. He warned me about the memos. Because you have the stationary time on there, the stationary events where they can be questioning us, it was never about that. It was never about the memos. Once that signature was on a piece of paper and they could watch us, the program started being implementing how they're going to fuck with us. The scanner messages started being sent out how they're going to fuck with us. Keep it moving, beat the heat, keep it moving. Take a sip of water, keep it moving. You've been sitting there for 2 minutes. Is everything okay? Do we need to come out there? You've been sitting there for 1 minute over your break. Is everything okay? They had planned on this all along. What they lost during that initial phase was nothing to them. Just like people reaching out saying, hey, they're going to get all their routes back in 6-day counts in the fall. It was never about the memos. They needed the memos. They needed that signature on a piece of paper saying that they could watch us. Because the memos have since expired, like I said, and they are ramping up the stationary events. They're doing this training. Like I said, I'm going to read these minutes to you. They're hysterical. The minutes of their training. How they feel about us. And it's all because we had the most incompetent bastard we've ever had as the president. So, anyway, it's Butch Lau. I told y'all I'd tell y'all his name as soon as he was retired, and he's retired. So, after the convention, again, we will have the wolf, Mr. James Henry, on, okay? And he's going to answer questions just like everybody else has. Whatever you want to ask him, ask him. David Noble will be back on after the convention, and he's going to finish answering his questions. Mike Cariff will be back on after the convention, and he will finish answering his questions, all right? Every member of the CLC will be on this podcast to answer questions. There's now a social media site for the CLC. They've got Facebook, and that's growing by leaps and bounds. So now that we've got a social media person, we're out there for everybody to see, to approach, to talk to. Boston will be no different. When we get there, the CLC has things going in Boston. They had a CLC bulletin. It says CLC convention delegates. The CLC has scheduled a meet and greet on Tuesday, August 6th, in room 107 of the convention center from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Come early for coffee and cider and donuts. Okay, I'll read that again. CLC bulletin. CLC convention delegates. The CLC has scheduled a meet and greet on Tuesday, August 6th in room 107 of the convention center from 7 to 9 a.m. Come early for coffee and cider and donuts. There will be a panel discussion after the convention session on Tuesday. Featured speakers will include CLC 2026 candidates and CLC board members. Topics include rank and file role in shaping the future NALC, ending fast food wages for NALC members, building fighting NALC, and restoring solidarity. Had a social media rollout. On Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, the CLC launched its social media initiative. It will be rank and file based with useful information and updates on CLC candidates. Our goal is to have at least 10% of the membership following us in the next 90 days. Please log on to Facebook. Please like and follow the CLC Lions. So, the CLC is in full effect. It's in full force. And I told you, motherfuckers were coming. I've been saying it. I told you I knew what was coming. I knew what was happening. I said, it is coming. There's nothing anybody can do about it. And motherfuckers, we're here. We'll be in Boston in full force. Now, here's the advantage that Renfro has. In Chicago, that Wednesday when I got kicked out, that's the first time people knew about that ticket. And that was the election year. So the first time they knew about Renfro was going to run for president, bitch-ass Barner was the executive vice president, the Wolf was going to be vice president. The first time anybody knew about that was that Wednesday of the convention of the election year. We do not have that privilege. We have got to get ours out there now. What we can. You know, some we cannot until later, obviously. But what we can, we have to get out there now. Why? So people can ask us questions, so they can talk to us, they confront us about issues that they're having. Fundraising, which is a major part of it. You're talking about an astronomical amount of money to run an election. 2 mailings nationwide. Travel, getting out, seeing the people, going to functions. That's a lot of money. And so we don't have the convenience of waiting until L.A. to let everybody know who our ticket is, right? Renfro's ticket will not be the same. A lot of people are defecting off of his ticket or retiring off of his ticket. And so if this dumb motherfucker runs again, he will have an entirely new ticket except for those that worship him and are going to stay on his ticket. And so Boston will be a good opportunity for y'all if y'all want to come and ask questions and talk to us and see what we're about. A lot of people are asking about the contract. I've only heard rumors. I've heard nothing definitive. I don't know I would hate to think that Renfro will wait till Boston to announce that they have come to some kind of agreement. To me, that's too political. And we have people hurting right now. I would hate to think that for political sake, to save his funky ass, that he's waited till Boston to announce a contract, or even this week coming up to announce a contract. And I talked to somebody about that. Matter of fact, let me get him in here. It's a special guest I had on Zoom. We talked already. I'm going to let y'all listen to him, and I'll be back on the other side of it because we talk a little bit about this and some other things, all right? So here's my special guest number one. I'm going to let y'all listen to him, and then I'm going to come back on the other side of it, all right? All right. I got a very special guest with me today. He's want to talk to y'all a little bit about the convention and some shit's going down at the convention. And you with me?
I'm here.
All right. That voice sounds familiar.
It may be familiar to some of your listeners. I don't know.
What's up, Mike?
What's up, my brother? Happy Sunday.
Hey, it's early, ain't it?
It's not too early. We didn't it's not 6 a.m. or nothing, but
well,
you got a heavy schedule today, so got to get in early.
That's right. Hell, we were supposed to have started 53 minutes ago. And of course, you know me and computers and shit. Yeah. My stuff's been updating for 50 minutes.
Well, that too, and then we had to do a little, bullshit and catching up, and
right.
Bit of that prior to coming out officially, of course. I didn't have a chance to fly down to Nashville today, so I feel bad about that.
I know it. It was, I got my little room here. My chair is still sitting here where you were sitting the other day, all alone, all sad and shit.
Right.
All right, Mike Cariff, what's going on with you, man? What's been going on with you lately?
Okay, so, just FYI, this is not what I came on to talk about, but we are having a balloon release. I guess by the time this broadcast, you guys will miss it. But anyway, Octavia Redmond, her funeral will not be until this Friday. She was the one that was killed out on the route last Friday. But they're having a balloon release. Of course, you know how the letter carriers are. It's going to be a whole picnic and barbecue and whatever. So anyway, that's going to be 3 p.m. over in the West Pullman neighborhood. They're asking everyone to wear orange, which is, you can see that I'm wearing an orange shirt today. I guess orange is supposed to be something about gun violence or something. I don't know. But anyway, we'll be out there today. Just a little FYI on that. What I came out to talk about is... Let
me stop you right there about Octavia Redmond, because I was going to talk about her during this episode, about some stuff I heard. I'm going to ask you, and that way I won't have to talk about it, since you brought her up.
Yep.
Okay, this is what I heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong. But she had witnessed a crime on her route. And she had reported that to management and asked to be moved off the route or something to that effect. And they did not do that. And then she was basically assassinated. Somebody drove up on her, got out, came up to the vehicle and shot 15 times and struck her 4. Is that close to being correct?
She was struck 4 times. I didn't know about 15 shots, but she was definitely assassinated. That's how I describe it. Because they just pulled up and, shot her dead. The circumstance of why, honestly, we don't know.
Okay.
And, that's the problem is, the sister's not around to tell her story, but she did witness a murder, but the murder was not on her route.
Okay.
In front of the post office. But there's really no indication that anyone knew that that anyone would tie her to that or be looking for her because of that. But they were looking for her for a reason. I don't want to say that she asked to be moved off the route, because if she would have called the Union Hall and asked to get off the route for safety reasons, we do have a procedure that usually works. Because we have citywide bidding. And so we're usually able to work out in a situation like that with the Postal Service, where you can temporarily work at another station as an unassigned regular until such time as you get a chance to bid. And then you'll have a regular bid assignment. And usually they work with us on something like that. in this situation, it's not like she did not reach out to the union hall. Now, there were some issues out there, and this is one of them areas where there's a lot of issues. And this is why we are very adamant that having a postal police department that is out there to protect us is valuable. There's a lot of value in that. And, obviously they can do patrols, but they can also, be the ones that you alert whenever there's an issue. There's someone following me. This happened. I want to make sure that there's no retaliation or whatever it is. They can assist the local police. Sometimes we're out there on the street. The local police want our help, right? We're looking for so-and-so, well, that kind of puts us in danger. We don't want to be the ones that are known in the neighborhood as having told on this person or, hey, where does this person live? That kind of thing. So having postal police that can be the liaison to the local police department and also be a resource for us and also be out there on patrol is very valuable, So there was a postal police officer named Marlon Barber, and he came out to the rally we had last Monday. And if you look at the clip, if you go to the Branch 11 Facebook page, I don't know where else you can find it at, but if you go to the Branch 11 Facebook page, you can see all of the speeches, including Mr. Barber's speech. And, they want to be out there protecting us. They want to, they'll put us in the game, but the Postal Service has them only protecting real estate, buildings, brick and mortar, and that's insulting. What about the human beings, that are out there that are actually in danger? So one of the things that I've been talking about is, we've been talking about, because I know this is something that our former president, Mac Julian, has been promoting, and that is that Senator Durbin and Senator Collins from Maine, they put forth a bill that's pending currently in Congress that would give the post office money to hire more police and have them out there on the streets, actually protecting us. And we're not pushing that bill. There's no fact sheet on it. If you go to the NALC legislative page, it's not something that we're actively promoting. We are promoting the Fitzpatrick bill, Protect Our Letter Carriers, which is a good bill as well, but it doesn't have that element in it. And that's an element that I think we need, and that would really help us and help to keep us safe out there on the street.
Yeah, to me, and I know you feel the same because we've talked, I think that the city letter carrier's job right now is one of the most unsafe positions in the country. I mean, you got the police officer, obviously that's the most dangerous. You're putting yourself, firefighters and stuff, but us with the heat, dealing with that, that's as deadly as anything. We see that obviously with Mr. Gates and then the supervisor that they tell to go sit in the back of a vehicle all day long. She passes away. That's sheer ignorance on her bosses. Arrow keys, we're losing our lives for that. We're getting robbed for those. Now we have a sister, whatever reason, gets murdered, assassinated on the route. People always talk about, we need to strike and we got to get out and strike. I don't agree with that per se. Just like y'all did, you can rally, you can make things happen as far as rallies.
Yeah.
And you can get in the street, you don't have to cut off service to the entire country to raise awareness. You can rally.
We did that thing at 8 a.m. They said, well, that's the time the carriers got to work. And I said, well, hey, every letter carrier, it's not like we never come to work late. It's not like we don't have an emergency or something. This is not a work stoppage. We're going to go to work. We're going to deliver the mail. But this is a family emergency. This is something that we need to deal with right here and right now. So there was hundreds of carriers out there, and, they just revised their schedule or had a late start or whatever, however they worked it out. We didn't, figure all that part out. But we felt it was important to stop what we were doing and deal with this, first thing, 8 a.m. in the morning. And that's what we did.
Well, just think if our national president, and I'm always going to be on this motherfucker because I think he's the most worthless individual we've ever had work for the NALC. If he would mobilize the entire country to do the same thing, if he had mobilized the entire country when Mr. Gates passed away, under those situations, those circumstances that happened to him with these stationary events and how they're targeting still targeting the carriers on these stationary events. You see these scanner messages all the time, and these hour office times, how dangerous it is for us on the street. If we would have a competent president that mobilized us nationally and said, hey, on this date, this is exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to have every congressman, senator that can be out, come out. The public's going to be aware of our working conditions and things like that. But hell, I can't even get this motherfucker to write in a letter that watching us on these scanners is a grievance rather than just say it's a fucking inconvenience. Talking about, I know you're going to talk about some HIP training and stuff, but, saying that those are discrepancies. I don't understand this motherfucker for the life of me.
So, and the point is, I think that we're not utilizing the strength, the power, and the resources that we have. And
yes,
you go back to last summer, we allowed the Postal Service to tell all the media outlets that Mr. Gates had received heat illness prevention program training, that he had received training on what to do out there in the heat, when we knew for a fact that we don't know for a fact that he did not. We think he did not, but we know for a fact that, thousands of letter carriers did not. And we know for a fact that they falsified the records, and we know what we know. And by not having any public shaming of the Postal Service, by not having any plan in the grievance process. So, if we would have filed a national grievance, we could have requested any correspondence that came out of the HIP, because the HIP has an enforcement mechanism in there where it says, from headquarters, you're going to send it out here. And then from this department, it goes here. So we say we should have told the Postal Service, we want to see those emails. What the hell are you telling these managers to do that led them to, instead of actually giving the training, they're falsifying the records? Instead of them giving the training, they falsify the records. How did so many managers come to that conclusion? What communication did you give to them? And you can file a national grievance on the issue, and then you get a result. And if we would have got a result in 2023, now in 2024, we don't have that problem. Maybe the Postal Service agrees with us that we're going to involve the union in the training, or, some type of way to improve upon the training so it's more effective, or, some checks and balances built into the HIP program or something. You would have got some result if you would have taken, action in 2023. The reason I wanted to come on and talk is, and I don't know if this will come up at the convention or not, but this is, your episode kind of preparing for the convention. So I wanted to alert all of the delegates, and I sent out a message to the members of the Executive Council, putting this on the agenda. We're going to be meeting this week prior to the convention, and I hope that we're able to resolve it and it does not have to go in front of the convention bodies. But one thing that's happening out there is that still to this day, here we are and, going into August of 2024, we're still sitting on our grievances that we filed in 2023 regarding the HIP and regarding the falsification. There's two issues. Did they implement the program the way they're supposed to? And two, did they falsify the record? So on those two issues, the Postal Service declared, well, I shouldn't use the word declared. They wrote a letter stating that this is possibly an interpretive issue. And when they did that, the NALC decided, we all got a message from a headquarters person, one of the staffers that works there. And the message said, put all your grievances on hold. Put all your grievances, don't arbitrate, don't even move them, don't do nothing with those grievances until we're able to resolve this issue. That was January 31st of this year. So, me and others have been, saying, hey, what are we doing here? What's with our grievances? So, and I don't want to, I'm not going to tell someone how to do their job. The executive vice president is our point person for this within the grievance arbitration procedure. Could be the vice president, but it's not, and I'm not in on all that, you can make your own judgments or whatever, but ultimately the president has the ultimate authority. He has assigned the executive vice president to, deal with the Postal Service on these type of issues. And where we're at right now is that we're waiting for an official response from the Postal Service. And what I'm saying is that's not good enough. They're going to have to either tell us that it's an interpretive issue, or they're gonna have to, or we're gonna, move our grievances forward. We're the moving party in the grievance, and everyone that handles grievances out there. I don't expect you guys all to be Article 15 gurus, but the basic concept of the grievance procedure. The basic concept in the grievance procedure is that we're the moving party. If it's left up to the Postal Service, they would never hear our grievances because they've already done whatever the hell they wanted to do. In this case, in 2023, regarding the HIP training, they did what they wanted to do, so we are the ones that have to move the grievance at every step. And I'm not trying to say, and that's why I'm not trying to get into the executive vice president's mindset or what he's trying to do, because sometimes you do have extensions, you do hold grievances, you do say, okay, we'll circle back to that. We understand that, right? But at the end of the day, on behalf of the members of the union, you got to move that grievance. You got to move it from informal to formal A. If they don't resolve it, from formal A to step B, and then the same thing as step B. So this issue should be moved. Is really all I'm. This issue should be moved.
Barner's responsible for that.
Correct. Well, at the direction of the president.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's always the president, but he has designated Barner for that.
Correct.
Have you heard anything about the status of those HIP grievances?
We've heard verbally, because I've talked to Paul many times, and I know I'm not the only person that's talked to him, what's the status? He's told us verbally that his counterpart in the Postal Service does not think it's an interpretive issue. But he hasn't received anything in writing. And I can see you on the Zoom laughing. And let me just say this and why it's, kind of so important that we take some action here, right? So in the Chicago post office last year, we filed a grievance. And we filed a grievance on the issue of the Postal Service not doing enough to protect us out there in the street. We filled out a 1767. We said, respond to this installation-wide 1767. Respond to this 1767 and tell us what steps you're going to take, to protect us. We're constantly getting stuck up, whatever, out there in the street. And I think the Postal Service either was an inadequate response or they didn't even respond at all. But either way, we filed a grievance on their response or lack thereof. That grievance was set to go to arbitration on March the 4th of this year. Prior to the arbitration date, the Postal Service Labor Relations rep said, we think this may be an interpretive issue, possibly an interpretive issue. And then they canceled the hearing, and I was instructed by headquarters to hold the grievance. And subsequent to that was the same type of follow-up conversation. Hey, are they going to call it interpretive or not, right? I followed up with Paul many times, and Paul's answer was the same. They're telling me they're not going to call it interpretive, right? Well, guess what happened on Monday of this week? They fucking called it interpretive. Well, I guess cussing is good on your program.
I won't edit that out.
Dude, it pissed me off to no end that now, 3 days after our sister is shot dead out on the street, now you want to inform us in writing, and you still don't even have the decency, 4 or 5 months later, to tell us that it's an interpretive issue? You send us a letter with this bullshit language that says we're considering calling this an interpretive issue, which is the same language they used for the HIP grievances. We're considering calling it an interpretive issue.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't expect no one to be an Article 15 guru. There is nothing in Article 15 that allows the Postal Service to put our grievances on hold because they're considering calling it an interpretive issue. If they call it an interpretive issue, then it puts the grievances on hold because then there's a process that is in play for the parties to discuss, and you're either going to come up with a step 4 resolution or you're going to go to arbitration and have a neutral arbitrator resolve the issue and apply that language nationally. You have a national arbitration award. One way or another, it gets resolved. But if you don't actually call it interpretive, it doesn't resolve the issue. It just has it out there in perpetuity. And we've decided to give the Postal Service this leniency and this grace on the HIP grievances to allow them to come up with a decision on what they're going to do. And that in and of itself is harmful to our members who are waiting on an answer to the question of what's going to happen with our HIP grievances. So either we're going to resolve this in the executive council this week, or I'm going to bring this issue to the convention floor and ask the delegates, because, in between conventions, the executive council is the supreme body of the NALC. But at the convention, now you have the delegates to the convention, and they are the supreme body of the union, and they make the decision. So I hope I don't have to take that step. I hope that we'll resolve it. I'll certainly keep you guys posted, but I just wanted to alert everyone of that possibility. We may be dealing with this issue at the convention, and we got a lot of other issues we're going to deal with too, but I don't want to have to add one, but hopefully we'll get it resolved. I have a certain amount of confidence in my brothers and sisters on the council. I mean, we might not always agree, but I think we have some good people, man. I mean, you and I might not always see eye to eye on this one, but I think we have some good people on the council. I think we have some really bad people. Like I say, that's my opinion. But hey, and it's fair game. We're elected officials of the union. It's fair game criticisms and that kind of thing. And really, at the end of the day, you have to produce results for the members. And we have not produced results for the members as a council, I think, up until now. But I don't think it's because we're not good people or we're not trying. We just really have some bad leadership, and we have to change that. We have to change the dynamic of what's going on.
Well, they had an opportunity to change it, is the problem.
Oh, with the charges. Yeah.
With the charges, and they chose not to. So you and I will disagree. I know that there are some on that executive council that are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
When the members in this convention, however many thousands upon thousands of people will be sitting there, when they look up front and there's the executive council, when they see them up there on the stage, the executive council, I hope they know that they're looking at a group of the most cowardly motherfuckers I've ever seen in my life up there on that stage, as far as our executive council. I think they are culpable for what's going on with the union right now. As far as backing this sorry motherfucker we have as president, talking about the HIP gets me fired up every time.
Yeah.
You know how I am about that.
It's egregious. It's egregious. And like I say, look, I don't want to predict what's going to happen. I sincerely hope that we're going to take action this week and put us on a good path of how we're dealing with those grievances. And we can report back to the members. Here's what we decided to do. Here's how we're going to handle these grievances, and in a way that works for everyone. But if we don't, then the delegates will get their chance to speak. That's how it goes. That's how the process is. Hey, what do you think? Do you think we're going to get presented a contract by the president? What do you think on that?
I think, you look at social media, there's so many rumors, so many people sending me things saying that it's a done deal, all these percentages and shit like that. I'll say this. I hope it's the greatest contract we've ever received. I think we deserve that. I think that we are vastly underpaid. I know that, Mike, that there are carriers that are living in their cars.
Yeah.
And that the branch, you know what I'm talking about. And branches are putting in showers at the branch hall, at the union hall, so that carriers can take showers at the branch because they're having to live in their vehicles. That is absolutely inexcusable. We're going on, what day is it now? 400 and what?
Let me, hold on, man. Let me go to careforpress.org, man. It's at the top of the thing there.
I knew you'd get it in there. Hey, that's supposed to be later. You're supposed to come on later with that shit.
It's 434 days, 16 hours, and 16 minutes, brother.
434 days, Mike.
Yeah.
I would hate to think that this low down sorry motherfucker has held off on that to save his ass. And there'll be those that'll say, well, if he tells you got a contract, you're bitching. You don't have a contract, you're bitching. I would hate to think that this motherfucker held off on that Because, you had this meeting however many weeks ago where they're saying we're not going to come out of this meeting until we have something finalized.
That's supposed to be a lockdown, right? So it's supposed to be a lockdown.
Yeah. Came out of the meeting, nothing finalized. I'd hate to know that these motherfuckers had something in place and he sat on that until the convention to save his funky ass. But I wouldn't put it past him. But I hope that it's the best contract we've ever had because we deserve it and then some. So I don't know, man. I don't
know what, and this is, part of the problem, and obviously, open bargaining is going to come up. There's another resolution that my branch submitted, that I love, and it's going to come up early because it's a constitutional amendment, but it's a change to the Constitution that requires the president, whoever the president is, when they go into collective bargaining, they have to either involve, meaning that they're present, or debrief, meaning that they let them know what's going on, the members of the executive council or one of their designees. So basically, everyone in the country will know what's going on with your bargaining. And, the fact that this thing has been closed up has really hurt us. There's a lot of issues that no matter what contract, if we do get a contract or not, a negotiated contract, because eventually we're going to get a contract one way or another. But if we get a negotiated contract, there's so many things that are not going to be included in it. Things like the grievance process, things like mandatory overtime, things like, the transfer rules or whatever, things that are important to, different members for different reasons. And we know those things are not being addressed. The having a career workforce, is it going to be sufficient to the members of the union if we get a contract, it gives us a raise, but it keeps the non-career classification? Is that going to be okay? We don't know because we don't know what these talks have been, and then, with the president that we have, because he has the issues that he has, and he's admitted to having those issues and he's seeking help for those issues, but you cannot trust everything that he says. And, that's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah. The person that has the type of illness that he has is the type of person that will lie to you. I mean, it's the fact. So, now we have the closed bargaining, and we have a person at the top of the helm who's not honest always, at least, with the members. And that's a problem. And I'll just say this. Now, this is just my opinion. I think the most serious charge when we deal with the charges against President Renfro, the most serious, the most impactful, the charge that we should really spend the most amount of time on is the abandonment during contract negotiations in the early part of 2023, because that has definitely harmed us. That has harmed every single member of the union. The fact that we had to do a restart when he came back in June, that he did not hand off all of the information that he had, if he even had any information on what strategy sessions had taken place, what meetings had taken place, what proposals had been exchanged. I mean, we had nothing when he left. He just abandoned us for 3-4 months, and that really harmed the collective bargaining process. And if a person is being honest, they'll admit that it did harm us, and he should admit that it did harm us. And the fact that he's been running around saying that it didn't harm us, and this contract negotiation has just gone on and on and on and on. And, if we do get a contract this week, the question every member of the union is gonna think is, why the hell couldn't we get this thing last year? Why did we have to wait a year to get whatever it is that we're going to get if there's a contract? And if there's not, and we end up having to go to arbitration, it will be the longest delay in getting a contract in the history of the NALC if we have to go to arbitration. So either way, the harm has been done, and his actions in abandoning us, they need a response by the membership. In my opinion, they need a response.
Well, that same executive council you said you had respect for, let that motherfucker off the hook.
Yeah, and we voted 21-7 against that one. I was surprised. I was surprised. I thought it would be close. I didn't think it would be that. I thought we might not win that one, right? But I didn't think we'd lose it 21-7. I don't know, man. It's look, the proof is in what happens. You know, I'm not questioning nobody's motives or their, whatever. I'm not questioning their dedication to the members of the NALC, but you got to deliver for the members. I do believe that.
I question it.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine.
I question all of it because I read the Weir report, the panel report, Mr. Jackson's rebuttal, and all those things.
He did a great job, didn't he? And Charlie did a great job laying the whole thing out last Sunday.
Oh yeah. And but and then for him to get pissed at Fred Rolando, for helping out.
Yeah.
You talk about he's got that disease of alcoholism. He's also got a disease of narcissism.
Yeah.
He's the biggest narcissist I've ever seen, in that he refuses to acknowledge his wrongdoing. Even in this video where he looked like he was a hostage when he was talking about
he was. We made him do the video. He didn't want to do
it. I was looking at his eyes to see if he was blinking Morse code to tell us where he was at and if we could come and get him. I was like, man, they got my man in a bunker somewhere. What's your
location? Give us a sign.
Hey, look, that vehicle's fixing to run out of gas, brother. That vehicle he's been riding about this alcoholism. I get it. I understand. You and I have dealt with it in arbitration before. We deal with that, and we fight for that, for those that have that disease. And it is a disease. But he's been sober for 400 something days now. He says that vehicle he's been riding is running out of gas. And so eventually you're going to have to put up or shut up. And it cannot always be fall back on, you have to understand I was an alcoholic. Right. I was damn baby, 400 something days. And, I can understand it takes a while. They say, when a contract gets ratified, we're already working on the next one. So you've been working on the next one for 2 years, 4 years, whatever. And then you say, a lot of the things that we can come to a resolution on, we've come to a resolution. We got just a few things that are hanging us up. Our wages will always be that one thing, maybe a few other things. So 100 days go by, we still can't quite get it figured out. This gap we have, 200 days goes by. We're still working on this gap. Still can't get this gap down to where we want it. 300 days goes by. Still working on this gap, man. Still, looking at this gap. 400 days goes by. Still working on this gap. What in the fuck are we doing?
And the problem is that when the president says I'm an alcoholic and says part of me being an alcoholic is that alcoholics lie.
Yeah.
And these are facts. We get that. But it's like, wow, it's someone who's an alcoholic, they have, it's an illness, right? And so there's something in them, some other thing that lets the alcohol take control of them. And the only way, at least what the experts say, and you have the 12-step programs and all that, the only way you can deal with that is by humbling yourself, by coming forth, being honest, by atoning, by just, putting yourself out there and trying to change who you are. And honestly, man, if that would have happened, if he would have came back in June of last year and said, I got a problem, I'm working on it. I apologize for the position that I put the members of the union in. I would have been the first one to say, we're with you, brother, because you're a fellow brother going through something. But when you take the position that your illness, that it's okay for you, that your illness negatively hurts every member of the union, and that's okay, we just have to live with that. I'm not okay with that. You have to have results as the president.
Even when, and this is what me and Mr. Vaffietta has talked about. I don't know if you remember that when he was on here, and he was talking about, he was excusing it all away as alcoholism. And I was like, in the Weir report, he was sober.
Right.
he was sober when Weir was talking to him, and Mr. Weir was saying even then he was being untruthful and he was dishonest in his answers. And so, of course, the executive council kissing this son of a bitch's ass like they do, it didn't matter what he said. It didn't matter what Weir was going to find because you had the panel. I know you. The panel was protecting him. And the executive council obviously was in this motherfucker's pocket. So, hell, we got off on something there. Let me get back to HIP.
Yeah, so like I said, hopefully this issue will get resolved this week, and we'll come up with a good strategy for the members on dealing with the HIP grievances that are still pending from 2023. But if not, the delegates will speak, and I just wanted to let you guys know that you'll have that opportunity if it comes to that, and that as my brother Mac put in his article in the Postal Record, the delegates to the convention are the supreme body. Let's not forget that. And we take our duties very seriously, Yeah.
I want to ask you a question because you'll know better than I do. You get a letter from labor saying that they're sending this as a possible interpretive issue, talking about these HIP grievances, right? So they, like Nashville, that's in a black hole of nothingness, this HIP grievance. I know you got thousands, right?
Yeah, we had 2,100 grievances just in Chicago alone, but we got other grievances throughout the state of Illinois, but yeah.
So they held those, right, for a possible interpretive issue, as labor says. How is it we're getting arbitrators' decisions back on HIP grievances?
Right. Because it wasn't interpretive in that case. And that's why you got to make them declare what the See, when they declare something interpretive, the language on Article 15, give the other party a detailed statement of what that kind of thing. There's an interpretive issue on a there's a possible interpretive issue on a grievance that's in, I think, New Hampshire somewhere. I don't even know what the hell that grievance is about. What is the interpretive issue? We don't know. So like you said, if other grievances can go forward to regional arbitration, why can't this grievance go? What is special about this grievance? What in here reflects some interpretive issue that needs to be resolved at the national headquarters or with a national arbitrator that's not in the other grievance that went forward? And it's not in not just arbitration, right? You got arbitration decisions, but you have tons of informal and formal settlements. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of probably grievances we filed on the HIP falsification and them not giving the training in 2023, but it was a lot of them, right? And a lot of them got resolved. So why did those grievances get resolved, but these can't get resolved? And, and like I say, there's a time and a place to allow for either party to take some time to figure out what their position is, that kind of thing. And that's not unreasonable, but it's unreasonable when it's been, 5-6 months and we're just sitting here, holding our grievances. I mean, they're literally our grievances. We need to move on.
And it's still being falsified.
And because we didn't resolve it in 2023, we get some of the same results. Now, at least in my area, they did a lot better in 2024. But it's not universal. We should have firm language that says, here's what's supposed to happen, so that wherever it doesn't happen, whether it's widespread or it's one damn carrier, right? Wherever it doesn't happen, we should be able to get that remedied and rectified through the grievance procedure. But we don't have an agreement on language because we didn't file a national grievance and then we put our grievances on hold. And, the strategy hasn't worked up until now.
Yeah, you file a national level grievance. And I don't think we've talked about this. Maybe this was before we came on. You were talking about one of the very first ones. You were saying that this needed to be sent as a national level grievance. You were the first one to come out about that, I believe. And I think I remember some business agents kind of chiding you on that, saying that this should have been sent. I know mine was one of them that you were saying that this should have been sent as a national level grievance. And I agreed 100% with that, because what's happening now is, and I talk about this all the time, but this is one of the main things that has chapped my ass about this bitch ass president we have, is that when he says that it's not falsified, there are discrepancies. He told the newspaper, there's discrepancies. No, I'm not going to say falsified. There's discrepancies.
That was actually management's argument when they went to arbitration a couple of times, that it was inadvertent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I say we need to see the emails. We need to see the communication, because
you can do that at a national level grievance. Yeah. And a national level grievance, you can see that.
Yeah.
You can show that.
Yep.
You can get Manny Peralta to come on and say, hey, I want every grievance that's filed on hip falsification. I want to know the percentage in this country. You got 87% of the country's hip training was falsified in some form or fashion. You can now, like you say, you can get correspondence. You can get email transmissions between people. You can get all these things in these case files or however, and you can show a national arbitrator, here's what they did with this heat training, this hip training, the ones that they said Mr. Gates had received, only to come to find out they had falsified his hip training, the one that the newspaper said he had received. And you can show this to an arbitrator. They're intentionally falsifying documents, postal documents.
Right.
That's what that is,
Right.
And our president says,
and what is the purpose? What is the motivation? The motivation is your motivation to make sure that every carrier receives this important training to protect their safety, or is your motivation to be able to tell some outside agency or, check a box and say, we did this, like they were doing with the media. Oh no, we have this hip training. So, because anyway, what is your motivation will when you get the details, you'll know what the motivation is, and then you'll be able to hold them accountable.
I know what the motivation was. You don't want 190,000, 200,000 carriers sitting in the office for 25 minutes watching a video. You wanted them out of the office so that you can make this hour office time or whatever. It's always about the money. It will always come back to the money. And so they did not want to spend that time nationwide having carriers sit in the office when they could be out there in the heat, hurrying up. That's what I think.
The hip grievances that we have in Chicago, there's an automatic remedy of $2,500 every time they violate a previous non-compliance agreement. So with 2,100 grievances times $2,500, plus that's just the payment to the branch, and then you got, we were asking, I think, for $25 a day for each carrier, depending on, how long it took them to actually do the training. So, like I think in my case, it was like 30 or something days before they actually, gave me the training or offered me the training,
Yeah.
But for some carriers, it was, 200 days or whatever before they got the training. But anyway, it was about the money. They're like, we don't want to go to arbitration and have to pay out all this money. Well, you did what you did,
Yeah.
And our only recourse is to bleed you financially until you change your practices, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the keys. The Postal Service is the employer. They can tell their subordinate managers what to do, and they can set up whatever procedures they want to set up. But your failure to do that is going to cost you. And instead of them paying the piper like they were supposed to, we're either letting them off the hook or we're delaying it. And that's what I want to make sure that we don't keep doing.
Yeah. Well, we mishandled this thing from the very beginning. When it first came out, I know you were talking about it. I was talking about it, how this should be handled nationwide. You got decisions coming back. It wasn't falsified. You got decisions coming back. It was falsified. You got some paying money, some saying do the training. Some, when it first came out, I was blistering these B teams for this, chicken shit language that they was putting out. We just mishandled this entirely. I think it goes back to showing how inept my president is and how over his head he is in our position.
He was actually gone. So, it's water under the bridge now because it was last year. But, he was gone.
What's still going on?
The hip training was supposed to take place April 1st, right? Mm-hmm. So, he didn't come back until I think late June, at the end of June. So he was gone. Paul was actually the acting president or, in his stead for that time. James was the vice president still. He hadn't been, well, he's still the vice president, obviously, but President Renfro at some point, I'm not even sure exactly when it took place, but he took away some of those grievance duties that James had as the vice president of the union. So, but during the summer of, the spring and the summer of 2023, that was still all in place. And, some of these things, man, is a result of individuals kind of, you have failures as an individual, like we all do. And some of this stuff is just some practices and procedures that we've put in place over the years that, no longer work, that need to be updated, that need to be changed or made better. And how we deal with issues is one of those. And you have, do you file a national grievance? Yes or no? That's one question that needs to be, talked about and resolved. But you also have, if you don't file a national grievance, how do you direct all of your grievance handlers on how the most effective way of winning this grievance? And we don't really have a good system in place to give direction to our presidents and our stewards and in our business agents and whatever on how to address the issue. I think both of those things, and then you have the personal failings of certain people in leadership positions, and you put all that together, and it's not been a good result so far. But
like I said, if you don't take it, well, we didn't, but say you're not going to take it national level, and you've seen that these CLPs, Renfro saying, I just don't see it as a national level grievance. It's not a national level grievance. And we was down in Florida at that CLP, he was saying it's not a national level grievance. I know at different places people were asking about it. He kept saying, we just don't see it. It's just not one. Y'all need to fight that locally. No guidance.
Right.
No guidance from your business agents. Now I know y'all's region killed it because y'all had 2,100 something, and so no guidance from your business agents as far as how to handle that. What are these grievances going to look like? No guidance whatsoever.
Right.
No guidance from your president. And I said this all along. You can still do those things. You can still have Manny Peralta send out how many of these things have been falsified. Those things can still go in local grievances, uncontested.
Right.
This is our survey that we did. These are the findings
that it was an accident, because we had one arbitrator draw the conclusion that it was inadvertent, that it wasn't willful, the falsification. That was the wrong conclusion to draw based on the facts, but the facts weren't out in front of that arbitrator.
That's because their management comes into these arbitrations. They're going to throw some 204B under the bus, and he's going to say, I accidentally put it in. I didn't have training on how to do it. I accidentally went through these 11 steps on each carrier, even those that weren't at work. Some on details, some business agents, DRT members. I accidentally went through these 11 steps and put them as receiving training, and they didn't. It was just an accident. And you got some arbitrators buying that shit. If you come as a national level, you have a president who says, these are our findings when we did national level research, and we had all these things turned in. As the president of this union, we have found 75% of the country intentionally falsified this training, and put that in every single file. Have something from Manny Peralta saying, hey, this is what we did. We sent out messages to every president in the country, and these are our findings. 87% of the country had falsified their training, and put those in every single file. And that would help our chances drastically in arbitration. So don't tell us we're not going to take it national. Y'all handle it down there at y'all's level. Good luck. And everybody on different pages around the entire country, all 15 regions doing shit differently. No national template. No information requests, what you should look for. No contentions that you're going to put in, kind of like, grievance starter on this here. Now make this your own. Here's other things that you're going to put in here. Here's our data that we collected showing this. Here's a statement from Manny Peralta. Here's a statement from Ron Renfro, our president, saying that these things, if you want to help us win, that's what you should have done. Not say, we don't see it as national level. good luck, everybody, on y'all's grievances. That's how I feel.
No, I know. Look, man, and I think the way you said it is exactly the way I was saying it. You know, you have to have one or the other or both. Either you have a national grievance or you have a national coordinated strategy, or you have both. But to have neither is a problem, man. It's what we're trying to change in the union, and so, you know, the delegates to the convention, they're going to have their voice, and then obviously everyone gets a vote in 2026, and you're going to have your voice then. You know, you're going to have your vote then. So,
anything else you got, my brother? Anything else you got before Boston?
I'm sure there'll be a lot more, man. I'll be out there, man. I'll put up my I'm going to put up my schedule on I think through the website. But anyway, I look forward to meeting everyone, talking with everyone, you know.
If you don't say something, say it. You can say whatever you'll say. What do you got going on?
No, I don't have I don't have like a campaign event or nothing. I was just saying I will put up my schedule if you want to know where I'm going to be at. I mean, anyone is going to Boston, you know, just like you always say, they're not going to have a hard time finding me. So I look forward to meeting everyone, talking to everyone, people that I don't know. Reconnecting with old friends. I first started going to the conventions in 2000. So I don't know, what is that, like 12 or 13 in a row. So anyway, it's always a good time. We got a lot of business to handle, and there's always a lot of time for fellowship. There's time for people to, you know, meet people. There's meet and greets. I will definitely be at the one that the Building of Fighting NALC is having on that Wednesday evening. They rented a big room. We put our money together. Hopefully they raise enough money to pay for the room.
He's coming on tomorrow.
Yeah, so. See if he's got enough money. I gave him a donation. I know you probably did too, but you know, we try to help out. But it'll be good to be able to kind of get away and hang out with everyone. So anyway, just really looking forward to it.
Just know this: if I see you getting jumped on, I'll be there, brother, with bad intention. You hear me?
Right, with bad intention.
Baby, I'll be there with bad intention if I see somebody on you, my brother.
I appreciate that, man. but we're good, man. We're going to be amongst family, and family does have disagreements from time to time, and that's good.
You're right.
It's healthy to air those things and talk about them. But at the end of the day, we got to deliver for the members. That's
it. That's it. All right, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you in Boston, baby.
Yeah, man. Have a great day, brother.
All right, Mike. You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. There's Mr. Mike Cariff. It's always entertaining when he's on. And so talked about a lot of stuff right there, right? And told my opinion on Renfro and what I thought about the executive council and anything that they try to do right there. But so I look forward to Boston. I think it's going to be a hell of a time. There's going to be a lot of shit go down that probably hadn't happened in prior conventions. And a lot of people want to know what's happening at the convention. You know, they send out these things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have an episode every day. There's some people that are going to bring some things so that I'm able to do that. I'll have an episode every day during the convention and kind of keep y'all updated on what went down. And so after the morning session, I'll probably go and do the episode. And that way y'all know exactly what went down. And I'll try to write down as good a minutes as I can about shit that's going down, because you're going to have a lot of stuff happening. You're going to have the Building of Fighting NALC. They're going to be in there talking about open bargaining. You've got these charges. You've got a lot of stuff. I've got one thing somebody sent me, and I'm going to read it to you. And they said it was kind of too late to talk about it earlier, but I told them that I would read it. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters of the Executive Council, Branch 44 Merged, New Hampshire, offers the attached rationale and resolution amending the language found on page 201 of the 2019-2023 National Agreement, specifically the Memorandum of Understanding titled Regarding Article 15 ELM 436 Back Pay. It became evident through discussion on the floor at the Spring Committee of Presidents meeting in Jacksonville, Florida, that back pay settlements awarded to our brothers and sisters through the grievance procedure from around the country were being unreasonably delayed. In speaking with branch leadership from other states, it was determined that ambiguity in this memorandum was allowing the Postal Service to effectively stall these settlements at will. The following issues were found to be insufficiently addressed in this memorandum. 1. Grievants are not being informed of the process for initiating back pay settlements, submission of PS Form 8038 and supporting documentation. 2. Receipt of documentation does not express by whom the documentation must be received. Local management, labor, Egan Accounting Services. 3. Submission of required documentation is equally unclear as to by whom this submission is to be made. The employee, postal management to Egan Accounting Services. 4. Required documentation could include PS Form 8039 completed by postal management, which would permit the service to intentionally or otherwise delay the back pay process by incorrectly submitting this form over and over, despite the employee having provided all correct and required documentation. 5. Will receive an advance, has no specific time frame attached. Requests for advances on back pay settlement amounts have no response deadline by the Postal Service. 6. PS Form 8038 completed by the employee has no time frame for review by the Postal Service for errors or omissions. NALC Branch 44 seeks to address these issues with the attached resolution, which would serve to amend and clarify the above memorandum. It is hoped that the NALC Executive Council will share our goal of expediting the payment of grievance settlements to our brothers and sisters and will consider this resolution. This resolution is provided in duplicate and is properly attested by Branch 44's President, Secretary Treasurer, and Recording Secretary as indicated by signature below. And then they've got the amended language. And anybody who's gone through the 8038 process knows exactly the hell that is. JB, we've had to take these into arbitration before because management has fucked these up intentionally. They will intentionally screw up the 8038 process. And unless you stay on top of it, and I've had people call me a lot dealing with the 8038 and 8039 process. And they would say that, hey, I turned my 8038. It's been 6 months. I've not heard anything. I said, you've got to put in a request for that 8039. You've got to get a hold of Egan and see if they've even received it. And JB is a master at that. And matter of fact, he has it in our resolutions. He has it that how they will go about doing those forms with the carrier. And there's time frames on every one of his settlements. There are time frames for the how they're going to do the 8038 and 8039 process, because we'll fill out the 8038. If we get our job back off removal, and it's basically a mitigation of losses to the Postal Service. It's our back pay form, but they're going to use it to mitigate their losses because we're supposed to seek some kind of employment while we're out on removal, which makes no sense to me. How that is even a thing is completely idiotic because if you've removed me without cause, I'm going to have to go find a job to help y'all mitigate y'all's losses. If you have fucked me over, you could have a manager come in there and intentionally remove me, and the arbitrator will say, this is the dumbest removal I've ever seen. He's going to get all of his back pay back. If I've not gone out to try to seek employment to mitigate their losses, I might not get my back pay. That's how stupid that process is. So you can have a manager completely fuck me over. And unless I go out and try to seek another job, I just ain't going to get no money. I think that's idiotic. But either way, the 8038, we fill that out and we turn it in. They can just sit it on their desk for a month and never fill out their portion, the 8039. Or they can put a bad date on the 8039, send it to Egan, and they'll kick it back and sit it there for 2 months until we contact them. Oh, yeah, they sent this. This happens all the time in Nashville until JB started putting this in their resolutions. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they sent that back. I need them to do this. So, yeah, that's a great thing there from that branch as far as helping us. And when they had that at the COP, when it was in Florida, a lot of branch presidents were getting up and were irate about that, saying that it's been over a year and they had no answer. And of course, our president said he had nothing. He had no answers for anything because he's a dumbass. But anyway, that was a good one there. But you'll have, Build a Fighting NALC, like I said, they will go up and they will talk about open bargaining. You talk about a call to the question. And you'll have the CLC addressing the charges against Renfro. If they get heard, there's going to be some shenanigans going on right there. You'll see that. They may try to hurry up and call the question on that. And a lot of people reached out about what does that mean? Call the question. What does that mean? I got another special guest. He wants to talk to you about that. All right. So here's another special guest. He's going to talk to you about call the question. All right. And I'm going to be on the other side of it and I'm going to talk about it as well. All right. So here he is. All right. I've got Mr. Noble on again. I know that I said he's going to come on after the convention, but he's going to talk a little bit about call for the question. A lot of people on social media, when we were talking about that with Tyler Vasseur, messaged asking, what does that mean? Call for the question. And so I was going to talk about it. And then Mr. Noble reached out and I was like, hey, you're much more well-versed in this than I am. So come on and talk about it. And so here he is. He's going to be on and he's going to talk to y'all about call for the question. And so you on, Mr. Noble?
I am.
All right. So we were talking about it the other day, and I just want you to explain it like you explained it to me because I thought it was perfect. And you've dealt with it a lot more than I have. So, man, it's all yours.
Okay. My name is David Noble, and that's the name I use on Facebook. You can reach me there. My email address is dwnoble@gmail.com. And I check my email every day, at least once. I'd like to talk, before we get into convention procedures, I'd like to talk a little bit in general about how votes are counted in NALC. NALC national officer elections are conducted by an election committee, which is appointed by the national president. The committee has a chair. The present chair is Paul Rosnowski from Royal Oak, Michigan. The committee also counts ratification votes. From 1971 until 2018, observers were allowed at ratification votes. While observers are required for officer elections by federal law, they're not required for ratification votes. And after allowing observers from 1971 until 2018, in 2018, they began excluding observers from ratification votes, which means there is no check at all upon how they do the count or the accuracy of their count. I observed the counting and tallying of all NALC elections from 1982 through 2018. Until 2014, the elections were clean. when I started observing, I was doing so on behalf of President Sobrato. After 1994, I was observing only on my own and for myself. I ran for president of the NALC in 2014, 2018, and 2022, and observed the counting and tallying of the ballots in 2014 and 2018. I had COVID in 2022 and communicated with Chairman Resnowski by email. A member of the Clean Sweep slate physically acted as an observer in 2022. In 2014, the first time I ran for president, the election committee decided that it would stay with the opened ballots overnight, but that it would exclude me. They had never done that before in the time that I had been observing elections beginning in 1982. I refused to leave them alone with the ballots, and the election committee had me arrested. When the charges against me got to court a few months later, the judge dismissed the charges, but the election committee got what it wanted, which was to be alone for several hours every night with the open ballots. In 2018, the election committee had me arrested again as I was observing. I have a video of the arrest made from the body cam worn by one of the arresting officers. If you'd like a copy of the video, message me or email me. As with the 2014 arrest, the charges against me were dismissed when they got to court. But the election committee got what it wanted, which was to be alone with unobserved with the open ballots for 8 hours. That was more than enough time for them to move in enough fake ballots to take the election. I sued for false arrest and won $35,000, which was small compensation for having been deprived of the opportunity to observe the counting. In 2022, I was not arrested because I had COVID and was at home. Under the law, union elections are supposed to be modeled on federal and state elections. They should be completely open and transparent. It should be possible for observers to verify that the count and tallies are accurate. The election committee in 2022, however, ran an election that was completely opaque. It was not possible for an observer to verify anything. All of the counting and tallying was done by computer. As the ballots were fed into a computer, an image was flashed on the wall of the ballot for less than a second. No information was given as to subtotals. After 5 days, the election committee announced the final results. I'm asking a federal court to order a rerun of the 2022 election. The three primary bases for my request are: 1, the election committee violated the NALC Constitution by breaching the rule concerning secret ballots. The committee had 6-digit numbers printed on each ballot. That number identified the individual letter carrier who cast the vote. The election committee, therefore, now has a complete record of how each member voted in 2022. That gives the committee the ability to rig elections in favor of the incumbents for years into the future. It doesn't matter how strong the candidates concerned letter carriers puts up or how much money they raise. If the committee wants to, it can simply send out ballots to the people who voted for the incumbents in 2022 and delay for a couple of weeks sending out the ballots to people who voted against the incumbents. That way they can beat Corey Walton, they can beat James Henry, and it would be essentially undetectable. The second reason I'm asking the court to order a rerun is that the election committee failed to verify the ballots that were cast by members. Every state in the United States has a verification requirement for mailed-in ballots. The NALC election booklet that pertains to branch elections requires a verification of every ballot. Failing to verify ballots gives the incumbents an easy opportunity to submit phony ballots. In 2018, the election committee printed 40,000 extra ballots. I don't know how many extra ballots they printed in 2022, but the margin of victory for president in 2022 was only 20,000 votes. Because no ballots were verified, it would have been a simple matter for the incumbents to insert fakes into the pile of uncounted votes. The third reason I'm asking the court to order a rerun election is that by flashing images of ballots on the wall for less than a second each, the election committee prevented observers from verifying the count, which was a violation of the law. A win on any one of these issues should be enough for the court to order a rerun. If the court doesn't order a rerun, when these flagrant violations are presented to it, the election committee will have a green light to prevent any challenger, including Corey Walton or James Henry, from ever defeating an incumbent again. The case will come to a head in October. I hope that the court will make a decision within a month or two after that. I should point out that only once in NALC's 135-year history has the challenger defeated an incumbent president. That happened in 1978. Turning to conventions, NALC is going to have a national convention beginning in a week. It's customary for the president to use the election committee to count the votes on contested issues. There may be several disputes about policy at the upcoming convention. One is a resolution calling for open bargaining. Incumbent NALC President Brian Renfro likes to keep what's going on in negotiations completely secret. The open bargaining resolution seeks to force Renfro to tell the membership what's being proposed and what progress is being made. When the resolution comes up, there will be an opportunity for debate. Eventually, the question will be called, which, if adopted, would end debate. Please note that ending debate requires a 2/3 vote. There's still time for you to get a Robert's Rules before the convention. Or alternatively, you can Google calling the question, and you'll find there that a 2/3 vote is required. It's customary for the chair of NALC conventions to rule that only a simple majority is required to call the question and end debate. That's wrong. And if Renfro takes that position, you should ask Renfro to consult the parliamentarian that's been hired for the convention. One of the people lurking around the stage is going to be a parliamentarian hired from Boston University or Harvard, or one of the eminent institutions of higher learning in the Boston area. And if Renfro consults the parliamentarian will tell him that a 2/3 vote is required. When the chair calls the voice vote, any delegate may ask for a division, which means that delegates stand for or against the issue. However the chair calls the division, any delegate may ask for a count, which means the utterly dishonest election committee will count each delegate individually. The second large dispute at the convention will be about the charges filed against Brian Renfro. The charges, which were filed by National Officer Chris Jackson, allege a variety of instances of misconduct, including Renfro being arrested for DUI while driving an NALC car after hours. The charges were whitewashed by the Executive Council a couple months ago, and the council gave Renfro a slap on the wrist. Jackson has appealed the council's action. If Jackson's appeal is upheld by the convention, the delegates could vote to remove Renfro as president, a job that pays Renfro $300,000 per year. For Jackson to succeed on his appeal, he'll need to get past the utterly dishonest election committee, which will be doing its best to protect Renfro. Any questions, Corey?
No, I mean, that's perfect. A lot of people were asking about that. The call for the question kind of means ending the debate. And so how you said it to me was perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to get out there so everybody understood. When this thing goes down, I'm like you. I think that they already have players in place to make every conversation or debate short, and as short as possible. When you go in there, if you haven't been there, I know you have, but for those that have not been to a convention, you got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, and you'll have these podiums up, 6 to 8 podiums up that you go up to, and you'll stand there and push a button and wait for them to call on you. And then you'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And so I look for these when you talk about Bill to Fighting NALC, the open bargaining. When they start to discuss, you'll start seeing people come up to these podiums, and I would imagine that Renfro and those like him on his side we'll have people run up there real quick and try to shut that down as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. That's a standard tactic.
Yeah. And not meaning that anybody that walks up there that does that is for Renfro. You know, if it goes on quite a while, eventually you will have to call for the question. And so, but if it gets shut off rather quickly, you'll know that that's a Renfro crony that's been told to go up there and shut that down. Same thing with these charges. If they even get heard, I've heard that Renfro has some tactics about not wanting those to be brought out to the members, which makes no sense to me. David, if it's me, I want the members to understand what happened. And I think that they should have an opportunity to hold me accountable if they think I've done something. But this guy does not want to be held accountable for anything. And so I've heard that things are in the works to not even get those heard before the members. And so that'll be very interesting, that portion, to see what happens there. But I know there are a lot of things going on as far as people challenging things. So this will be one of the more interesting conventions that I believe has transpired in the history of the NALC, just because the lack of leadership and the damage that this clown has done, Renfro. But I know you got to get out of here. I'm sorry to hear about your wife and daughter, and I hope they get to feeling better really soon. Hopefully you can make it to the convention. But if not, I completely understand that. But anything you want to add, my friend?
No, I just that I hope very much to be able to make it to the convention. Conventions are usually boring things. I don't expect this convention to be boring at all. I think lots of interesting things will be happening. I was at the convention in 1978 when the convention just blew up against Joe Vaca for having negotiated a contract with a capped COLA, and everything that Joe Vaca wanted got voted down, and the convention voted to recommend to the membership that the contract be rejected rather than ratified, and the contract cheered wildly when Vince Zimbrato was nominated to challenge the incumbent president for the fourth time. And I expect this convention to be the liveliest convention since 1978, and I'm going to try very hard to be there. If I can't, it's just because the health problems at home which have to take first priority, are keeping me from being there.
Yeah, well, hey, I completely understand that, my man. Personal family is much more important than this, but I hope everything gets better for you, the situation, and that you can make it. But you'll definitely be on after the convention, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, because we got a lot more questions for you. We got about a third of the way done last time, so there's a lot more questions for you. So on the other side of it, we'll get back together if you can't make it and get you back on here, all right?
I'll be ready.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, bud. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So there's Mr. Noble. I appreciate him being on. He had reached out earlier about call the question. What does that mean? And so he had sent me something, and I thought it was pretty good. So I asked him if he'd come on and talk about it. And I hate to hear that about his wife and daughter, and I hope that they get well soon so that he can make it to Boston. But I'm going to read this to you. It's out of Robert's Rules. Call the question. And this is what it talks about, okay? Because a lot of people reached out. I'm going to read it straight from Robert's Rules. The motion to call the question, which has the technical name of previous question, may be the most abused motion in all of Robert's Rules of Order. It is very common for people to shout out the word question or I call the question in the expectation that debate will immediately stop and a vote will be taken. This is wrong, wrong, wrong. Key points to know about call the question. A member must have the floor in order to make this motion. Raise your hand and wait until the chair gives you the nod, recognizes you before speaking. Now, we have podiums that you're going to go up to and talk at, right? When you make this motion, you're only suggesting that you would like to stop debate and vote. It is an expression of your wish, not a hammer to bludgeon your colleagues. This motion requires a second. There have to be at least 2 people in the room who want to cut off debate before it can be considered. This motion cannot be discussed or debated. As soon as the chair hears a second, she immediately takes the vote. It takes 2/3 of the voting members in favor to cut off debate. Therefore, the chair should take the vote by show of hands and not by voice. If indeed 2/3 of the group want to stop debate and vote, then the chair immediately takes the vote on the pending motion. The motion that the group is considering at this time. No further discussion is allowed. It is also possible to call the question on all the pending motions, in which case the chair will take the vote on each motion that is before the group, one after another. Robert's Rules of Order does not allow this motion to be made in committee meetings. And it gives a sample script for call the question. Member A, I call the question. Member B, without being recognized. Second, Chair, it has been moved and seconded that we stop debate and vote on the pending question, which is, state the motion being discussed. All those in favor of stopping debate and voting now, raise your right hand. Members raise hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed, raise your right hand. Members raise hands. Thank you. Hands down. If the ayes have it, there are 2/3 in favor, and we will vote immediately. And you take the vote. If the noes have it, if there are not 2/3 in favor, and debate will continue. Next speaker, please. What does the motion to call the question or previous question really mean? The motion is actually a vote on whether to vote. The term previous question is an unhappy leftover from the 19th century. The words meant something completely different in the British Parliament. We believe that it would be better to rename this motion as the motion to stop debate or motion to vote immediately. And so that's what it means, all right? So everybody that reached out, you had Mr. Noble talk to you about it, and I read you the Robert's Rules, okay? So that's what that's talking about. So it'll be very interesting to see if you have these lackeys, these lap dogs, as soon as, say, the bill to fighting NALC gets up there about the open bargaining resolution. You'll have all these podiums up there, all these mics, which you go up to. It's a massive arena, the convention floor, massive. And you'll have all these numbered things that you go walk behind and push a button what you want to do. And people will start filing up to those things when people start debating. It'll be interesting to see how long that's allowed to go on before one of Renfro's bitches get up there and try to call the vote. Now, eventually they'll have to call the vote. You can't just sit there for 3 hours. I guess you could, but, generally it's not going to be allowed to go on that long. But it'd be interesting to see who gets up there and says, call the question after 2 people have gotten up there. And you know that those are the motherfuckers that have been kissing Renfro's funky ass during this entire process. So there's that. Man, we're just getting through some shit, ain't we? Now, as far as Sunday, you'll have, I'm all over the place, aren't I? I told you, man, we're just going to have fun with this one. As far as Sunday is concerned, the registration and the exhibit level of Convention Center is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's Sunday, all right? Registration, exhibit level of Convention Center, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The welcome reception, and this is always a lot of fun. Hopefully everybody will come to this. The Convention Center, Exhibit Hall C, 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Delegates and guests must show credentials to gain entry. Guest passes can be obtained at the delegate registration area. Okay, so the welcome reception, the meet and greet, is at the Convention Center, Exhibit Hall C from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And hopefully everybody will come to that. That'll be a lot of fun because you'll be in there with people that hate you, but also people that you've been talking to all year, whether on social media or something like that. And also you get to see people that you've not seen in a while. So that's always a fun time. The meet and greets. Now, After Hours with Kira Munn, their Facebook group. They're doing a meet and greet on Sunday at 8 p.m. at Lawn on the D. Okay? After Hours, the Kira Munn Facebook group is doing a meet and greet on Sunday at 8 p.m. at Lawn on the D. Thursday After Hours has an event at Howl at the Moon. It includes free access, free buffet, and cheap drinks. For more information, message Kira Jo Munn or Jasper Brad on Facebook. All right, so Thursday After Hours has an event at Howl at the Moon. It includes free access, free buffet, and cheap drinks. For more information, message Kira Jo Munn or Jasper Brad on Facebook. And so if anybody sent me some things, I'm reading it today. All right? So I told you we're going to have a lot of shit, man, but hey, it's Boston, baby. It's going to be fucking on, son. All right. I've got another guest that has been wanting to come on for a while. And this person is rightfully irate about some things that Renfro's done to him. And he's a branch president. I'm going to let him introduce himself. But he's been hot for a long time and is asked to come on here. And I told him, I promised him I was going to get him on here before Boston. So he's going to come on and talk to you. And then I'm going to talk on the other side of it. And people may get upset about me constantly talking about this bitch we have as a president. And I don't care, really. If I lose listeners, I don't care about how I talk about this funky ass bitch we have as a president, because he has hurt my people. He has damaged my people. And I tell you, when I say that y'all are the only thing that matters to me, y'all are the only thing that matters to me. I don't care about anything else. I have friends on the executive council, don't care about them. The city letter carrier is all I care about. Renfro is the most incompetent piece of shit we've ever had as a president. And I told y'all I can prove that through evidence, through the things that he's done. I'm going to let this gentleman talk, and then I'm going to come on the other side of it, and we're going to talk about some more things about this bitch-ass president, okay? So here's another special guest, and I'm going to come back on the other side of it, and we'll talk, all right? All right. I've got Mr. Gary Lang on, and Gary has been trying to get on for quite some time because he's been pissed off for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And so he's been calling me, said, "Hey, when am I coming on?" And even when I went up to Brooklyn, he came and ate lunch with us. He said, "Hey, when am I getting on?" And so I said, "Well, I'm going to get you on, man, before the convention." So Gary, I'm glad to finally have you on, brother. I know you've been mad as hell for quite some time and just wanted to vent, and this is the place to do it. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I know you're branch president, all of that. Man, you got free reign. Whatever you want to talk about, you talk about. If I got any questions, I'll ask those, or if I got any input, you know how I am, I'll put some shit in. But it's all yours, my man, okay?
All right, thank you. All right, my name is Gary Lang. I'm the president of Garden State Branch 444, and we're located in Kilmer, New Jersey at the SNDC site is my main office, okay? We have 650 members. We're financially sound, and our representation is second to none. And I just want to give a shout out to all my stewards and my officers. They do a great job. Anything I need to be prepared for a case, they're always there, and they really set it up pretty good for me. So with that being said, my bitch here tonight, and I've been bitching for a while, is that when it comes to the SNDC sites. Now, back in January of 23, President Renfro signed an MOU explaining how the SNDC sites will operate with multiple branches, what will determine who's a senior branch. And so what happened is that in the MOU 01991, he stated that if you have members in that SNDC site that they're making, you'll become the gating installation. Pretty simple, straightforward, nothing more than that. And all the other branches that would come in would be the losing installation. But you would sit down and you would use the gaining installations LMOU, and you would combine everything in from the other ones, and then you would present it to management, and that's how it should go. Well, lo and behold, it didn't go that way. As President Renfro ticked us over, as I would say, is polite. And I want to start each step of the way of what happened here. So when the MOU was signed in 23 in January, the MOU was signed, and we were told that we were going to be an S&D center, Kilmer facility, where my carriers, where 90 carriers are already established there. Okay. So with that being said, I looked at it. Okay, we're going to be the gaining installation, and whoever comes in from the other unions will be the losing installation, and they will sit down with me and we'll go over all the LMOUs, and we'll try to get one big LMOU for the whole SNDC. So, all right. So then I'm just going to start from our retiree brunch in November of 23. We had our national business agent in Region 15, Bruce Didrikson, there. Bruce has been a great friend to the branch, always been a good guy to always help out, answer any questions we have, and really was just a good partner. And he still is, but I have my disagreements with him on this issue. So at our retiree brunch, we were talking about the Kilmer SNDC, and he said something to me, and he said that the Kilmer SNDC site was in Edison, New Jersey. Really didn't make a whole lot of, I just kind of blew it off. But branch 38, which is the biggest branch in the state, they got like 5,500, 6,000 members, and that's fine. So, and Bruce was the past president of branch 38. So when he said that, I let it just go by the wayside. And when I got home from the brunch, I read the MOU again, and that Renfro signed with the Postal Service. It didn't say nothing about the building being was the building where the SNDC site was going to make any difference on who was going to be the gaining installation. So I just let it, I looked at the MOU again, and I said, there's nothing here. I just let it die. So now we are coming into 24, and now we're starting to get a date when they are going to come in and, start operating this SNDC site, was June 1st of 2024. All right. We're still trying to weed through go through the weeds with this. So on March 8th, I get a phone call from President Mike O'Neill, Branch 38. And he says to me, you won. And I said to him, I won what? He goes, they picked they made the SNDC site, New Brunswick, and I told Mike, I really didn't win anything. I said, the MOU speaks for itself. I am the gaining installation. I got the members there. And I said, we'll work on the LMOUs like we said we were going to. Everything we were talked about was very transparent between, Mike, myself, and Bruce Stallworth from Freehold Branch 924. He has about 10 members coming in over there to the Kilmer SNDC site. And that was fine. I mean, I just blew that off too. I said, hey, the MOU speaks for itself. And I still feel that way today. So then now in Kilmer, I have 3 offices: New Brunswick, Highland Park, and North Brunswick, New Brunswick, and Highland Park. So when they made it New Brunswick, it was irrelevant to me. But Mike did call me and say, you won. So we'll leave it at that. So then comes March 18th, like 6 days later. I get an email from Michelle McQuality that we were going to have a Zoom meeting, okay, for I think it was March 19th. Now, between that time and March 8th that I talked to Mike, it was changed to the Kilmer SNDC site. And now I'm trying to understand, could this possibly be something that they're going to make a squeeze to get this as the gaining installation? So, I held off, and so we get to the Zoom meeting, and Mike's on it, I'm on it, Bruce Stallworth, Michelle McQuality, Bruce Didrikson, and the other lady that was working with Michelle. And they get on, I started asking everybody. So the first question I asked was, why did they change it to the Kilmer SNDC site? Why not? It was New Brunswick. Because my mind was spinning here. I think there's something going on here that doesn't sound right, but I still felt confident enough that the MOU was the MOU. All right, so she didn't make a big deal about it. She just said, they just wanted to change it. And I left it at that. So March 28th comes around. I get an email on March 28th that we're going to have a meeting with labor on April 17th about the LMOUs and sitting down and going over them. Now, so we're sitting there and we're all there, the unions and labor. And Vince Solomine was the labor guy, and he said, that we were going to be the gaining installation. And Mike O'Neill interjected from 38 and said, that's not your call. He said, we are the bigger branch. Now, Mike, after this, when I talked to him about this, he said that we had more members. Doesn't really matter. Bigger branch, more members. And I just said, well, the MOU states that we're the gaining installation, so we should be the gaining installation. So at that point, I kind of was concerned a little bit that he told Vince that you don't make that call. He told the labor guy, he goes, that's Brian's call, Renfro's. And I'm saying, well, he already made that call as I read the MOU. And I'm saying, I'm going to get fucked here. That's what I was thinking this, sorry, but that's the way for Mike to say this. Okay. Because Renfro's already made the decision, right? He made the decision and that was it. So, then, on April 25th, on April 25th, Mike shoots an email to me and Bruce Stallworth and says, hey, listen, guys, I'm going to take the liberty of using the Edison, which is his biggest branch going into Kilmer. And we're going to use their LMOU. We'll use that as a base and we'll go over everything and combine everything. Still, I did not think that it wasn't that major of a problem, because once we get in there, I bring my local out from that I have in Kilmer and we use it, but that didn't happen. So, So we still don't have no LMOU signed for June 1st. So on April 30th, we had a walk around in the building with Michelle came in and everybody was there. We were walking around the building. And Vince Solomon said to Mike, did you get an answer from Renfro? And he said, yes. Now, I didn't get anything, but so we're walking around the building and I said to Bruce Stallworth, the guy from Freehold, I said, you know anything about this? He goes, didn't you get the letter? I said, no. So he gives me the letter and I'm fucking fuming. I'm saying, wait a second. Renfro gave Branch 38 to be the gaining installation, which was bullshit. And they were going to use their LMOU and we were going to coexist and represent each other. That was decided a long time ago. And I'm fuming. We're walking around and I just couldn't believe it. So we're in a group. So I kind of faded away after that because I still didn't get the letter. I checked my P.O. box, still didn't have it. So we were supposed to meet on the 30th in a Kilmer room to go over just the union people to go over the LMOU to get it settled so we can present it to management and then get it signed. So we get in a meeting. Corey, I'm pissed off. I'm really steaming. I mean, my area rep sitting next to me. Bruce Stallworth sitting there. Mike's to the left of me. And his vice president, Danny Switch, is back there. And so we get in a meeting. I said to Bruce Stallworth, let me see that letter. So I get the letter and I'm reading it. I said, Mike, what's this all about? I said, how can you be the leading installation? It says me. He goes, well, Brian made the decision. I said, I know nothing about this. I said, were you in contact with him? Did you send me any emails that you guys had correspondence about this? He goes, I didn't send no emails, but I called them. I said, oh, you called them now? And we were supposed to be transparent here. So he was on the phone behind my back calling Renfro for what reason? So here's what it comes down to, Corey. Listen, the LMOU, it is what it is. We're going to bind everything together. Now, I said to Mike on that floor when we were walking around, when I found out about this, I said, Mike, who's getting all the new members when they come into this building? And he said, we are. And I said, that's what he was all about. He was trying to get all the members. And I'm saying, Mike, that's not fucking fair. I said, that's not what it says. So in that meeting on the 30th, I called him out. And I said to him, I said, Mike, you're calling Renfro and you're not telling any of us. I said, we were all transparent with everything. And don't forget, you called me on March 8th and said you won. I'm like, okay, but how did this all change now? And Corey, it comes down to this. Listen, these guys, they got 6,000 members. They got power. I get it. I've been in that building for 15 years, man. I know everybody in the place, everywhere, managers. I'm in there every day. Put it that way. I know everybody, clerks, mail handlers, carriers, and I'm saying this guy had the balls to go behind my back to get Brian to change it. So listen, I wasn't done questioning Mike on the 30th. And Bruce Stallworth said to me, your beef is with Brian. And I said, I know who and Mike said, yeah, your beef is with Brian. I'm like, and I didn't want to get it out of hand because I wanted to know why Brian changed it. It was Mike who was on behind it. I wanted to get him cornered in there. So we had a little discussion and I was pissed off. And Danny Such, his vice president, was back there. And I brought up the building and, the bigger branch, it's all bullshit. And then Danny says, which he denied later because I talked to him, but he did say it. He said, well, we have if they change the finance number, it's fair game. I'm like, and Bruce Lulworth looks at me and says, what's he talking about? They were basically looking for any avenue to say that they were entitled to what they took, which they didn't have no right to take. So they were going over to local, and Bruce Stallworth left, and I left right after him. I left my area rep with him in the place. And now Bruce Stallworth's been around a long time, Corey. We walked out the door, and he said to me, "You're not surprised, are you?" And I said, in a way I am, because the MOU spoke for itself, and why would he, how can you change something you agreed to on an MOU? It really blows my mind. My wife told me, don't start F-bombing anybody, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm pissed off.
You can do that here.
I told her that. I'm fucking pissed off, So, and Bruce, and, I'm a high school basketball ref, and so is Bruce Stallworth, and I do high school soccer. So, I'm involved in a lot of shit, and I think it's very unfair that these guys in this building, that my members are there, and I told them at a meeting, I had a station meeting with them. I told all my branch at every meeting, my branch meetings, I told them that we were the gaining installation. I had a meeting with my members in that facility, and I told them they wanted to know. And then they find out that it's not working the way I told them. They're pissed off. Everybody's pissed off about it. People I've talked to outside. And I'm still stunned by the whole thing. But anyway, so what's my recourse, right? So
yeah,
I'm looking at
who signed this MOU?
Right, Renfro, and it was Renfro and the guy, I think it was Tom Blum. They signed it. There's no gray area in it. It is what it is. I mean, come on. So what I find is, obviously it's not funny. You've been pissed off for a long time, but what I find odd is that we file grievances all the time for management violating whatever M document, that the parties have agreed to, right? They're in our issue statements all the time. M whatever, DOAS, PET, whatever. We're always filing grievances because management refuses to abide by whatever those step 4s are, right? Here you have a signed agreement with Renfro and someone else. And this son of a bitch just arbitrarily amends or changes this MOU to benefit him. Now, I know this gaining branch, this large branch, it benefits them, and it completely fucked you over. But ultimately, it benefited Renfro. That's why he did it, because Renfro right now is on the outside. Is on the line. Yeah, he's going to lose the election. He's looking for every vote he can get.
That's it.
And that's it. And listen, I know that.
That's it. Period.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know. You have to tell me why. Okay. I'm asking that fucking question, everybody. Why? So, hey, Renfro writes in the June Postal Record, page 1. He writes, I am tired of managers complaining about the remedies we request in grievances that they violate our agreement. Right?
Right.
He writes that.
Yeah.
I'm like, we also will pursue every possible avenue to end a blatant failure by postal managers in many violations to comply with our national agreement. We are demanding something very simple. Do what you agreed to in collective bargaining. What a hypocrite. Oh, he's a hypocrite.
Hey, he's the lyingest motherfucker I've ever seen, man. And sold your members out for him. He's the most narcissistic human being on the planet. And he would rather go against his word, which means nothing to me because the motherfucker just lies.
Yeah.
That's what I said. He'll never be back on my podcast again because he lies so damn much. But here you have a man, his written word, signed on it. This is how it's going to be. And for votes, has sold you the fuck out because his word doesn't mean anything. And the fact that people know that doesn't bother him.
Well, I got to tell you, listen, 38, 5,500 members, 6,000, whatever it is. That's fine. They can have their members. But listen, you shouldn't fucking violate your own MOU
Right.
to satisfy, to give, you're looking because your ass is on the line. You're going to lose the election. You're trying to get every friggin' vote you can, no matter if your word means shit. And that's exactly what happened here. Yeah. And listen, I don't know. Listen, I know a lot of pissed off people in 38 about the situation with the Postal Service. You know, it's really, it's just not right. And listen, he's looking at Mike supporting him. I got these votes, you know, and I'll give you this. I don't know how, you know, Mike and I are pretty good friends and Bruce Didrikson too. And, you know, and then I met him on the floor in Kilmer one day and I told him, and he said to me, the reason why he did it was to protect his members. And I'm like, what are you protecting? You're not protecting your members. You're protected already with the MOU. Listen, Corey, sometimes you just can't accept that if you walked in Kilmer and branch 4-4 was the main union, you just can't accept that. You know, you cannot just say, hey, listen, every member that comes in every new employee that comes in that building should be going to branch 444, not branch 38. Now, he's going to have more members in that building than I'm going to have, and that's fine. And as those people come in, they come to my branch. If they get a full-time job or a regular job in one of his branches or one of his offices, they become his member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no threat to him.
Yeah.
I'm no threat to him. So, you know, I was pissed off, and everybody knows I'm pissed off.
Yes.
And I should be pissed off. You know what I mean? I am, because my members are pissed off. Now, let me tell you something about Kilmer. Kilmer, every goddamn program that the Postal Service implements, in Jersey, it lands in Kilmer. Those people in Kilmer, my members in there, Corey, they went through a year and a half of consolidated casing. Did you ever see that? We
had that in Kingsport.
Let me tell you something.
Eastern Tennessee.
It was the worst place in the country by far. By far. Yeah. It was these guys for a year and a half, and I was up there early in the morning, late in the afternoon. It was a shit show. Yeah. And these guys went through hell. And, you know, Renfro, he doesn't care about anything like that. He doesn't know the history of that place. Every new program that comes into Jersey, it lands in Kilmer because the DM's there, labor's there. All the rooms are upstairs. And I'm like, these guys have been getting dicked over time and time again. And now he does this. Yeah. So then what do I do? Right. That's my next step. So I wrote him a letter. And I think it was on April 30th. I expressed it to him.
Yeah.
You know, I wrote it. Wasn't a kind letter. But I got to the point and I got no answer. You know,
he didn't change his mind.
I was insulted that, you know, he didn't even respond. Give me an answer. All right. And I didn't get it.
Well, to his defense, he's been locked up with management in this meeting trying to get our contract resolved. Yeah. So he probably didn't see your letter.
Well, here's what happened. So I wrote my letter and I got no answer. And I just couldn't wait any longer. So that was April 30th. Then May 7th, I wrote it to the executive council. I wrote them 2 letters. And I guess that fell on deaf ears too,
Good luck with them.
I don't even know if they got it, tell you the truth.
Shit, it's probably in between their lips and his ass. Is where that letter is.
Yes. And so, you know what? And that being said, I just this is wrong, man. It's wrong. It's wrong in every possible way. So, yeah. And now, listen, where do I go? I'm trying to find somebody that's going to, somebody's going to address the issue.
Yeah.
So, that happened. And then that was May 7th. So what happened was I didn't hear from Bruce Didrikson. He's the business agent.
Yeah.
And that on May 7th, I wrote the letter to executive council. I got nothing. So then on May 20th, I addressed the letter to Bruce Didrikson. Okay. Explaining to him how I wrote to Renfro and you. And now in the letter on the 16th that he sent to us about who was going to do what, he said any questions you contact Bruce Didrikson, my business agent. And I'm like, why am I going to contact him? And you made the decision. Mm-hmm. So you know how it works. If I wrote a letter about somebody to headquarters, they're going to give it back to the business agent, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I wrote the letter on, it was May 20th, explaining to him the situation. Hey, listen, Bruce brought up the building to me at my retiree brunch. And I felt that it was part of this whole process that they were trying to squeeze to get branch 38 in it. So I wrote it on May 20th, and I met with him on the 22nd in his office in New York. He emailed me back, and I met him on a Friday, got there about 8:30, went to his office, and he came out from the side of his desk, and he sat right next to me. We sat outside his desk. And he says to me, I don't know what you're doing here. And I'm like, Bruce, I agree. I don't know why the fuck I'm here, but guess what? That's what the letter said. Address it with you. Okay. So I said, Bruce, you got this letter here from Brian. I said, how can this be? I said, it's not even right. And I said, and further of all, you brought up the building being in Edison, and Mike brought it up to me. And, then he's talking about the bigger branches. And I said, that's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with the MOU. And Bruce said to me, well, you do know that when the call center was put in Kilmer too. Now the call center is run by National. I think there's 4 of them in the country. Right. So they put that in Kilmer a while back. And I guess they took all those people and they just put them in branch 38. And one of the people that was in the call center was the president of Elizabeth, and they made a special dispensation for her to be back in the branch. But I don't think there was any language on, they just put him in there and then they gave him 38. This had language of who was going to do what in the SNDC site. And Bruce said, hey, let me ask you a hypothetical question. He says, what would happen if there was only 5 members in that building? Should they be the gaining installation? Now, let's first of all, if there's any branches left with 5 members, they're going to be put in another branch. That's all it's to it. And if that ever happened, they would be put into another branch. And it was a bullshit question, but hey, you want me to answer it? Yeah, it'll be the gaining installation, but it's not going to happen. Under 10 members, they're not paying the full dues. And we've had a couple duos like that they were put into our branch and they lost their charter and we took over. So he asked me that question. So I said to him, let me ask you a question. I held up the MOU and I held up Renfro's letter. And I said, is this letter in violation of this MOU? And he said, that's not for me to answer. And I'm like, all right, Bruce, come on. I'm saying to myself, you're supposed to be independent here. I'm not asking you to kill somebody. Is it right or wrong? And he said,
right.
It doesn't. And he was basically saying, it doesn't matter what I say. I'm saying, but I had to come to you because that's what his letter said. So I'm sitting to myself, I'm saying, so Bruce says to me, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says to me that he's going to Washington at the executive council meeting, and he'll bring it up at the executive council. But I can't promise you that they're even going to address the issue because you got to go to the Court of Appeals. And I'm like, this is no good. This ain't happening. You know, if I start driving my car, I'm hitting a dead end street. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. And listen, I know I shouldn't have been there, but you know, if I did something where I did file a charge and I didn't follow proper protocol, they would shove it up my ass. I know they would.
Yeah.
So I followed the letter. I contacted Bruce. He did what he did, and I got nowhere. So with that being said, I filed a charge against Renfro on June 20th. And I told Bruce and I told Mike O'Neill, you guys should contact Renfro and tell him to change it because I said, Mike, you're not entitled to it. And Bruce, it's wrong. It's just actually wrong, Corey. It's just nothing. It's just absolutely a disgrace. And it shows you what a guy would do when he's desperate for votes. He'll do anything and he'll sell his soul. And that's what I wrote in my letter. I said, you know, he's going to get beat. I'm telling you, he doesn't get what's happening on the workroom floor. Like I told you earlier, the carriers of Sombrado and Bill Young are long gone. You know, the guys like me, the civil service guys, they're gone. These guys on the floor, they got a whole different agenda. And know why I know? Because I am a shop steward first before I'm a president. And I'm in every office. Everybody knows me. I hear their complaints, and they want things done. They want answers. And I know them all. I go to every office. I do PDIs, man. I'm right in the thick of things. And even though I got great stewards in my offices and area reps and vice president, these guys are second to none. But I'm a steward first, man. I grew up in, I did all the positions. That's my bread and butter. I'm sitting outside the SNDC at 7:00 in the morning when the carriers are starting at 8:30. I'm on a bench sitting outside watching them walk by. Everybody else coming into the building. That's me. That's just how I do it.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, I did file a charge. Never heard nothing. Well, I did get a letter back from Renfro, and I don't know what the hell it means. It doesn't address my issue. It's like,
it's like his responses to stationary events.
I'm like,
he won't have a position. The son of a bitch. Here's my thing. Why are these business agents so scared of this motherfucker? You know, just like you're saying, well, I can't say whether it's right or wrong. Sure you can. Yeah. Fuck this motherfucker at the top, man. This dude is a little pipsqueak son of a bitch. Why are they scared of this little rat bastard?
And Bruce, listen, Bruce he's the president of Branch 38. He's a great friend. Believe me, but on this issue, he was wrong. And, you know, he was the RAA, and I go up to his office. And I'm telling you, I think these regions, they need 5 or 6 RAAs up there, man. We don't have enough of those people up there. These guys are overwhelmed with work. I just don't see how they can cover 30,000 carriers. I really don't. And that's how I feel. We got the money, put them up there. Branch 38, they got 7 full-time officers. They run the state of New Jersey. They run it. And that's fine. But when what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And
that's it.
And they know. And I'm telling you, I want to debate anybody on this issue face to face at any place, anytime, Renfro, anybody. I want an answer because with my charge, they're going to try to sweep it under the rug. Just slow walking it before the convention.
Well, sure.
Get in there and hear tell me what I don't know. Why did he do it? And you know as well as I do why he fucking did it.
There's votes.
Yeah. It all comes down to votes.
Yeah.
He knows, hey, listen, and that's just, it is what it is. So now he writes me a letter, which, he is dressed in my letter of, what was it? It wasn't even the first letter I addressed to him. So It's all a bunch of bullshit. There's really nothing there.
Here's the thing about Renfro is that we down here, us city carriers, branch presidents, we are an inconvenience to him. And when you see these memos that he writes, when he sends these letters out to people about the stationary events, and he's like, that's just an inconvenience. What he's saying is that we are an inconvenience to him. When we're writing him, trying to get him engaged with HIP training, trying to get him engaged with these stationary events, all these other things that he has fucked up. And we're an inconvenience to him. This right here, what you're talking about, is just an inconvenience to him. He doesn't give a fuck that he went back on his word. His word doesn't mean anything. He's shown you that throughout his tenure here as the president of this union. His word doesn't mean anything. And so,
Corey, he's tooting these MOUs. I was down in Atlantic City when Doug Lape was involved in it, and I don't know, I guess he's on special assignment somewhere else. He was out there promoting his MOUs on these SNDCs. Yeah, and this is what he's talking about. As long as you're representing your branch, everything's fine. You're not going to. Then did you see the activists that came out? What do you think's on there? The two MOUs he's bragging about that he violated. The one at 01991. I'm like, wait a second. Is anybody in the country who's listening, does anybody else have this issue? Or is it was just me that has these SNDC sites? I mean, listen, 650 members is not a small branch. It really is, and like I said, it's, I'm a steward first, president. I get the title of president, but I'm just like every other guy in my branch. They can talk to me. They can tell me how they feel issues. I never berate them. They're great. They really are. And, that makes my job a whole lot easier. But I got to tell you, when I'm in that facility in Kilmer, the managers in there, six of the managers, I represented them when they were carriers. They don't know what they're doing. They really don't. And I'm looking at them, I'm saying, and they're coming to me with all the issues, because I'm there just about every day. And if I'm not there, I'm in another building somewhere else, another office. But, my carriers in there, they're not happy. They want answers. And I told them the truth. What else was I going to tell them? I had another meeting after that, and they asked me what I'm doing about it. I don't have a guy can promote his MOU and then go around and violate it and never have to answer to it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the charge. Am I going to go into, is he going to pick 3 disinterested members in the executive council? I want to be there. I want them to question me. Yeah. Then I'll question them because I still don't know why. And it really pisses me off. So here's what happens. Now, I sent you last week one of the provisions we have in our LMOU. We've had it in there for 40 years. And it says, before management accept an emergency situation, management must consult with the union before it issues discipline. Corey, we've had that since 83.
And I love that.
Let me tell you something. It is gold. You don't know how many removals, letters. And I tell you, even when they lose, they still don't know what a consultation is. They'll send me an email. We're notifying you we're giving a guy a 14-day suspension. I'm like, you're going to lose that case now. But it is gold. It really is. And I wrote a little narrative for you on how to approach it if somebody wants to get in their local.
It's very unique.
It is.
I've never seen anything like that before. And there's a lot of unique things in LMOUs across the country. I wish there was some kind of database where people could send in these little things like you're talking about where management has to notify before they issue discipline. I've never heard of that before. But all of these, that is extremely unique. And when you told me that, I was kind of shocked that you had it.
When I told you, I said to myself, he's probably, he don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Then I broke it down for you.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it was impasse. We won the impasse back in the it was in 87. I got all the papers back when the managers all agreed to it that you shall, must, will it doesn't stop you from issuing discipline. I want people to know that, but they have to, because, we had a case where they said the PDI is the consultation. Now, like I told you, the PDI is between the employee and the manager. The consultation is between the manager and the union. Big difference. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you know how they can manipulate somebody if they don't ask for representation. And I'm telling you, if you sit down and you really talk about it, sometimes you can change their mind, more times than not. So here's what happened. Now, we don't have an MOU. We don't have an LMOU up there at the SNDC Center, right? We don't have an LMOU. We have a temporary one because Branch 38, Mike used implemented his stuff in there with ours, even though manager wouldn't sign it. And we put one in with my branch. So two of them are sitting up there wherever in headquarters. You got two locals there. So I'm sitting outside the building, and here comes one of the guys from labor. And he said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good." He goes, "How's it going down here on the floor?" I said, "It's a shit show." I said, "The other day you had 40 open routes." But that being said, I says, we have a temporary LMOU. And he says to me, "Well, we didn't agree how the LMOU was presented to us, because they took that issue of consultation out of my LMOU in Kilmer, and Mike put it into the LMOU that he drew up." And they're saying, we don't agree with that. You can't put something from there in. They just don't agree with it. And they says, we're just not agreeing to that. Now I'm saying, if I had it in my local, even though we're supposed to, put stuff in and out, listen, they've been trying to get rid of that for 40 years. And I'm afraid if we had it as my LMOU in Kilmer was the base, they ain't going to touch it. But now that Mike put it in his, which is fine, I want it in here, but I'm afraid somebody up above is going to get it. They're not going to understand it, and they're going to squash it, just to get the thing through, because we're going on 2 months with a temporary LMOU. And I'm afraid that this is going to damage that consultation in Kilmer. I really do. I mean, he made it sound like that was one of the issues, if it wasn't the main issue. And I'm saying, no. Once it's in that local 2 times, you ain't touching it, and it's been there for 40 years. I got all the paperwork. I got everything that goes with it. And like I said, now I'm getting a little concerned about that language in the LMOU. And if we lose it, I'm pissed off now. I'll be really pissed off, Corey, because I'm telling you.
You can come back on. You can come back on and vent again.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And I heard that, and that was early in the morning, and I had to go to the building, and I'm like, and I told my area rep, Dave Lesko, who is up there with me, and I told him, and he's actually, they've been everybody's been trying to get rid of it. Every office, it's a done deal. And they keep asking me, "What do you mean by consultation?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Read what it says. Go in the dictionary, read what it means."
Yeah.
And we have removals that they throw out just because of that due process violation. And I am just, God. And I just think that I'm not too confident with anybody else handling it up above, that doesn't understand it.
Why not?
Yeah. And so, I am pissed off. I'm still pissed off. I think I have a right to be pissed off. And hey, listen, Brian, your issues are your issues. Okay. You shouldn't be a horse trader here. You know what I mean? Give this guy one thing, give this guy another, and it's just not right. It's a bad look. It's a bad makeup. And I'm really disappointed in Mike, but you know what? I don't know what he was talking about when he said, "I'm protecting my members." What's there to protect? You got the local. We're putting it together.
Yeah.
They just couldn't accept that I was going to get the members. That's what it comes down to.
The easy thing is just go by your word. Just go by your word.
Yeah.
What does the memo say? What does the MOU say? Whoever comes to you and says, "Hey, man, look here, I got 6,000 members. I've got to go by what it says here. This is my word on
That's
paper.
right. Your
That's
word
my
is your bond.
signature. I can't do anything about it." Well, man, you're looking at losing 6,000 votes. So be it. But I cannot, as a man, go against my word. And that is my word. That's my bond to y'all.
Integrity.
That's my bond to everybody in the country, to my members. My bond is my word. And so I cannot go against that. But you got a dude that's unscrupulous, man. He's the lyingest motherfucker that's ever been. He will sell, well, you know that. He'll sell you the fuck out for a vote. And motherfucker's gone. Like you said, he's going to lose this fucking election. And what damage is being done, just like you with this other branch president, because of a vote? And that's all it is, man. I hope your members are listening. I hope they listen to this podcast.
Yeah, they listen. They do, and especially in that building, they really do. And I told them, I said, it's what I told you guys that we were going to be the gaining insulation. Then they turn around and why? And they keep asking me why. And I'm like, I try to explain. It's because of numbers, of course. Yeah.
I hope they hear how you have fought for them. That's rare nowadays. The amount of kicking ass that you have done for them just off of this single issue. It's very important, obviously, to you and to your members. And obviously it's important to the other branch, to those members. But I hope that
I'm just, it just aggravates me that, these guys, listen, this might not fall into Renfro's, lane here, but those guys in Kilmer, they went through that consolidated case, and that was the worst year and a half of their life. It was, I just think that has, if the MOU said something different, that's one thing, but these guys, listen, Fred, when they had the consolidated casing, he was sending people every week from all over the country into the office. And they're saying, you got to grieve this. I'm saying, listen, there's enough grievances here in one day to fill up the room. So you know what? And I did the case. It was, management had no right to settle anything. It was going to be settled up above, but those carriers went through hell. My stewards and stuff, they went through hell with this. They helped out. And I just don't see how Renfro can get away from this. I'm like, listen, our representation, Corey, is second to none. And I'll hold my guys and our record against anybody's, and I'll share anything I have that would help another branch out, and I've done that, 38. When their members called me, I had 2 postmasters got found guilty of violence in the workplace. And they're, of course they get promoted, that, right? Yeah. And a pool with 400 falsification or clock rings, I gave my cases, man. I said, this is it. This is what happens. But, we're not going to be able to fire those people because management always says, you're not going to tell us how to discipline our managers. And that's a problem. And, so I don't know. I'm just trying to I got to get an answer from somebody. I really am fucking frustrated.
The reason that Renfro will get away with it is because of the executive council. And it's obvious how they choose to vote. And they're going to put this dumb fucker in front of everything else. They'll put him in front of the members. They'll put him in front of this MOU. They will not read this MOU like everybody else would read it. They'll read it in a way that will protect this dumb bastard. And so that's the reason he'll get away with it, is because his incompetence is on full display, and so is the executive council's. Their incompetence, they're just as culpable as this dumb bastard at the top that has no integrity whatsoever. They don't either. So that's how he's going to get away with it, brother.
Well, I got to tell you, then they should rip it up. Rip it up.
Don't have one.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Just don't have one.
You're arguing that management doesn't honor their shit with the agreement. You turn around and you're a hypocrite and you're peddling all this bullshit that he's tooting all over the country, the MOUs he signed. I get it. Yeah. It really covers everything that it's supposed to. Then just honor it. But no, your ass is on fire and you're looking for help.
Well, he sold his honor and he sold his integrity for votes.
And that's what it comes down to. And I'm not done. I'm taking it all. Hey, I want my say. I want to be face to face. I don't want I want to sit there and say, the executive council, am I going to address them? And they're going to address me. I want to see them tell me that I'm wrong and to show me, and like you said, listen, the Constitution really protects those guys, the president up there, but
we see that.
Oh yeah. And, I've been around since 1973, my father was a steward in the office. He walked on a strike. I remember all that stuff. I was like 15 years old, and here's the way I look at it. The union had full control of everything until that first barcode was put on a mailbox. Yeah. And since then, management has run with all the technology, and they say, you know what? We don't give a shit what the union says. We're going to do what we want to do, and that's it. And you're seeing it's getting worse and worse. Everything is being run now by headquarters. The people they ain't going to have no district managers anymore. I think he's going to be gone. Everything is run by headquarters. And I just think that, we're weak as a union. I really feel that way.
We're the weakest we've ever been is how I feel.
And I support, but these guys on the workroom floor, Corey, and I'm telling you, I don't care if they're branch 44, branch 38, branch 924, whatever branch they are, they have a different agenda. They have a different agenda. These guys want money and they want their rights. They're being fucking harassed with the hour office time. I mean, come on. How do you get away with this?
Yeah. To use one of our sorry ass president's terms, they want their pound of flesh. Based off of what these dumb fuckers in management are doing to these carriers on the floor and the things that they're allowed to get away with, the carriers want their pound of flesh as far as what management's done. Of course, our dumbass president said we wanted that because of the death of our brother, Mr. Gates. He completely shoved that up his own ass when he said that. But yeah, it's a new day as far as the letter carrier is concerned. These newer carriers are very militant.
They want the right to strike. They're telling me they want the right to strike. Yeah. They're talking about his raise. They want buku money, and you can't talk to these guys. This is the way they feel.
They're very militant.
They sure are. And listen, it's getting, like I said, the guys of the civil service guys and the guys of the past we're long gone. These are, and I just feel that you better address the issue and the block of voters that really mean a lot, which is everybody. But these young guys, they're the ones getting shitted on, Corey. I see it every day. Yeah. I'm between these guys, and I just keep telling them, just listen to me, call me. They call me during the day. My phone is nonstop. You can ask my wife. Anywhere we go, I always have it with me. I always answer it. I always answer everybody because I know that these guys are looking for some direction. And I just keep telling them, just stick to your guns, listen to what I say, and just move forward. And it really has worked out. And I got to really say my stewards and officers, the guys, they get it. They're right on top of them. And these guys, now, Corey, I'm not I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on X. These guys, these younger guys that I have in the union, they talk to a lot of carriers outside of my branch. These guys got, well, and let me tell you, I'm not going to mention branches or who they're talking about, but they're pissed off. Everybody's pissed off. Yeah. And these guys tell me, and I'm like, yeah, and they got, they're asking my guys for help and stuff. And it's a new day in the Postal. It's a new day with the carriers, that's for sure. And I enjoy it. I'm on there, man, because I'm an easygoing guy. I relate to these guys. I can, I do. I really do. And hey, listen, you always got one guy that's gonna, just keep giving it to you, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm right there, and like I said, I'm blessed with good guys around me. I really am. So with that being said, I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I'll be at the convention, and my guys will be there. But I just don't have no faith in this in our branch anymore. Our union. It's just and it's sad. It really is. It really is.
Well, you can come on here as much as you want, brother. If you want to give an update, if you hear something about the charge eventually after the convention, you're more than welcome to come back on here. And man, it was a pleasure to get to see you up in Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was great.
You're a hellraiser. We need many more just like you, my brother. And I can't wait to see you in Boston.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring you. I do want to recognize my vice president, Guy Delanoy. He's this guy's forgot more about the contract than the management will ever know. This guy is as sharp as a whip. He's got 50 years in, he's retiree. And I got, new stewards. I got Dwayne Figueroa. I got Glenda Mix. I got Brian Tim. These guys are all learning, man, and they're good. And, my secretary treasurer, Earl Dorman, he's been from the 70s. This guy is the best. He's just on top of everything. He lets me know what I have to do. And Mike Venuto and Ray Walsh, some of my officers. But, I got this guy, Dave Lesko, who is an up and coming star, man. This guy is an Article 8 whiz, and he's handling, letters of warning. He's an up and coming star. And, I got Jay Ward. He's another guy that's up and coming. Got this guy, Steve Umstead, down in one of my shore towns. And this guy he's picking it up faster than I ever seen anybody. And he's chomping at the bit, man. And like I said, I tell them all the time, the more they violate, the more they educate you. That's how I live, and so I got, I got a lot of good guys out there. Let's see if I didn't miss anybody. I got him. I got Dave Hernandez, and his office is in Kilmer now. He's from one of my offices, and he's in there. Sometimes he's hard to control, man. I got to put a rope around him and tie him up. He has his own way about it, And
sometimes that's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is, man. And these guys I got to say, they can talk to me like I'm just you and I talking. I don't hold that title as anything more than, I'm a steward, man. And I just, it's. They're good. I'm trying to think who else is out there and helping me out. I mean, and I know a lot of the branches support me in my position here, and I don't want to get anybody in any kind of trouble here.
I got you.
But, going forward, it's just a blessing to have good people around you. It really does make my job a lot easier, So with that being said, I apologize if I missed anybody, but I know we're about ready to end this. And going forward, I will keep you posted. My guys want to meet you up there in Boston. We'll sit down.
I'll be there.
And like I said, when I get my answer, I think it's unfair, So that being said, I thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, brother.
And I will keep in touch with you and everybody else.
I'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah, man.
All right, my brother.
All right. Stay well.
All right. You do the same, my man. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
All right. See you, buddy. All right.
Bye.
All right. So there's Mr. Gary Lang. He was a lot more calm than he has been with me when we talk on the phone. Maybe it's out of respect for y'all. But he has been hot as a firecracker about what Renfro has done. And I understand it completely, because here you have a president who, and I always say that my word's all I've got when people say, why are you letting people come on there that are running against you? Because my word's more important than anything else. That is not the case with y'all's president. His word means nothing. And he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. The executive council has given him that right. They're not going to hold him accountable. And that's what I was talking about with Cariff. When you have tens of thousands of people sitting on the floor, when y'all look up front at the executive council, just know that that's the largest collection of worthless motherfuckers that we've ever had. Now, there are some on that executive council that are hellraisers. Very few. Mike told you about the vote, 21-7, I believe it was, on the abandonment of us during the most critical time is this, the contract. And he was gone, just left. Nobody knows what in the fuck is going on. And, so when y'all look up there at the executive council, just know that that's the largest bunch of lumps of shit you'll see, anywhere, probably in your lifetime. You'll not see a bigger collection of worthless pieces of shit than the executive council. And since they are like that, it's given Renfro a get out of jail free card. He can do whatever in the fuck he wants to do. And there's no repercussions whatsoever. Did y'all know that he had went out and he has hired an in-house counsel? That's what he's done. He's hired an in-house counsel, without the executive council's permission. When you look at the Constitution, Article 9H, the President is authorized to appoint regional administrative assistants in such established NALC regions in accordance with the needs of each respective NALC region. They shall establish and appoint full-time regional administrative assistants based on the request of the national business agents, who must document and support their need, and such other organizers, representatives, assistants, counsel, accountants, industrial engineers, and other professional administrative personnel as they may require to assist them in the operation of the union and to fix their compensation, subject to the approval and ratification of the executive council. I'll read that again. Subject to the approval and ratification of the executive council. Now, Renfro has gone outside and hired an in-house counsel, a lady by the name of Elizabeth Lisa Bourne out of Louisiana. All right. And she's the managing partner of Tabry and Bourne LLC. She is an experienced litigator in the areas of insurance defense, medical malpractice defense, and commercial litigation. Lisa's insurance experience includes first and third party disputes, including claims for property damage, business interruption, and bodily injury. She has also defended individual healthcare professionals and hospitals. In addition to commercial clients, Lisa also represents individuals in matters involving domestic disputes, community property partitions, and personal injury claims. And so Renfro has gone out and just hired this in-house counsel without the approval of the executive council. So, and he can do those things because of our cowardly ass executive council. They will let him get away with that. And y'all say, why do you concern yourself with that? I concern myself with everything in this fucking union. I damn sure do. My money are paying for those sorry fuckers. That's why I concern myself with every damn thing that they do. And I always will. I've been paying a lot of money a long time for these motherfuckers to be incompetent. And it pisses me off. I don't like it. And I don't like when people take my money and wipe their ass with it. And just basically just shit it away. And that's what's happening to it. We have the most worthless individuals at the top of this union that we've ever had. We have an executive council that refuses to hold them accountable for the first damn thing. My money, y'all's money, is going to that. That's the reason I concern myself with it. I concern myself with every fucking breath that they take while they're on this clock. Why? Because they work for me. That's why. These sorry low-down motherfuckers work for me. This bitch we have as a president works for me. This executive vice president, bitch-ass pony boy, works for me. These executive councils, the 21 who voted to save this sorry, raggedy-ass motherfucker, work for me. So, yeah, I'll concern myself with everything. But you have a president now who he refuses to keep his word. His word means nothing. Mr. Lang told you that. He went against his own MOU for votes. He went out and just hired an in-house counsel, told the executive council to go fuck off. What are you going to do to him? Nothing. Because y'all shown him what y'all are about. Not a damn thing. That's the state of our union heading into Boston. CLC is going to try to get this, the charges read, right? Watch and see the disturbance that causes when that happens. Because Renfro will be up there pulling strings on his little puppets, his little marionettes walking around. Hey, get down there now. Get off my ass and get down there and protect me. Y'all go down there and protect me against these people. That's what's fixing to happen. But I wanted him to come on and talk about that because we're heading into Boston, right, where people are going to be held accountable for the shit that they've done, right? Now, I'm a militant motherfucker, and I'll say that. I always say I'm a lion doing lion-type shit, and that's what I've done in my career. I don't care if people like that or not. And you can get on my social media sites and talk about me all you want to. I don't give a fuck about that either, because lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. And I've learned that a long time ago, even when I was at the jail. Lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. So you can get on every social media site I've got, Reddit, Discord, Facebook, and say things about me. I don't concern myself with y'all. I'm a lion doing lion-type shit. And that's how I will be in Boston. I will be respectful of my surroundings. I will not make a fool of myself in front of anybody. I know that. Inside that convention center, I will not make a fool of myself. When we're at a meet and greet, I will not make a fool of myself. I'm just not that type of person. Now, if the time comes to dance, baby, I'll play the music. Trust that. That's just how I fucking am. I will not be approached by the first motherfucker about shit that I do, or we will address it old school style. But I will not go there looking to do anything because I'm respectful of those surroundings. Like I said, the last time when I got kicked out by that bitch, Barner, I was very respectful in how I handled that. Now, I called him something that I can't repeat on here because it's very crude and lewd. I called him that before I left. So I wanted to make sure, little man, I was looking down at him, wanted to make sure that he understood how I felt about it. But I did not put my hands on him, and I wouldn't. That's not who I am. I was very respectful. You know, I wore dress pants and dress shirt every day because I'm respectful of that situation. Now, I will not do that next time. I'll have boots on and jeans. You know why? Because you know why. And so, but in there, I ask for everybody to be respectful because you're amongst your brothers and sisters, right? You're amongst your people. So remain respectful of that area, of that setting. Remain respectful, right? Don't get in there and act a damn fool. You're going to lose credibility when you do that. Understand that in that convention center, you will have every race, religion, creed, you'll have the most far left thinking individuals that there are. You'll have the most far right thinking individuals that there are. You'll have socialists, you'll have capitalists, you have all these different types. Everybody will be represented in that setting. Everybody you can think of will be represented in that setting. Understand this, that even though there are these different sections of individuals, however you think, vote, whatever, we are all a family. Every single one of us is a family. We are all there for the same thing, for the city letter carrier. You will have those that are not, i.e. the president, the executive vice president, and the executive council. They are not there for the city letter carrier. They are there for themselves. Us on this floor that are looking up, we are all a family. Act like that in Boston. Okay? Understand that I may not vote like you. I may not look like you. We're going to think differently. In there, we have to be one. We have to be. if we're going to survive. You got to love us, right? You got to love each and every one of us. That goes for everybody. We are family in that room. And remember that. Shit may go sideways, and sometimes that just happens because it's very volatile what's going on right now with our people. People are highly upset about different things that are going on with this union, more so than at any other time. People are expecting fireworks in there. Remember this. Be respectful of who you're around. You're around your people. You're around your family. We have a bitch as a president. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows he's a bitch. But understand that when we're on this floor, we're family, all right? So everybody understand. I know everybody's saying, hey, Boston's going to be wild. I've been saying it. I think it's going to be a hell of a time, and I can't wait. But I will always be respectful. I will always be respectful. Somebody sent me something the other day that I had said on an episode, and they had told me how much they appreciated it. And I was talking about the slaughterhouse, and I said, the slaughterhouse of failure will not be our destiny. And that is true for this convention. Look, the slaughterhouse of failure, the person that's going to be up there talking to us has been a failure. The executive council has been a failure. But their failures, that's not our destiny, right? We're creating a new destiny. We have a movement going on. Not just from aid arbitration, not just building a fighting NALC, not just the CCAs, but everybody understands where we're at right now with this union and that we're taking shit back over. And so when I was saying that about the slaughterhouse of failure would not be our destiny, that's what I'm talking about. The failures of them, the executive council and Pony Boy and Otis, that's not our destiny. Our destiny is one of victory. That's our destiny, one of taking back over the NALC and putting people in place that fight for the city letter carrier. That's our destiny. It just is. I know what's coming. I know what's happening. This group here that has shit on us, they're gone. They're done. When I say the lions are coming, that's what I'm talking about. Because the slaughterhouse of failure, that's not where we're at. That's not where we're going to end up. Shit is temporary, baby. I'm telling you that. I wanted to read just a few things that people had sent, kind of where we're at right now when we talk about the slaughterhouse of failure. When you look at what's happening as far as the stationary events, I told you I'm going to read those minutes to you. Sometime, I've got Mr. Henry coming on, I've got Mr. Cariff coming on, Mr. Noble coming on, but sometime after that, now, I'm going to start doing the 6-day count stuff again. I did all that stuff way back, route protection episodes, and I'll tell y'all which ones to look at for these 6-day counts. But I'll start doing some in-depth 6-day count stuff for you because that looks like that's where we're headed. And I'll get y'all ready for the 6-day counts. I've dealt with those numerous times in arbitration. We've been highly successful. That's just 6 days of hell. But we can deal with that. We can deal with that. But we will make sure that we file the right grievances on those 6-day counts and see if we can't put some money in our carriers' bank accounts, okay? But when you talk about the slaughterhouse of failure, you've got the stationary events, the inactivity times, how they're doing us right now. That's something that's been put in the slaughterhouse of failure on Renfro. When you talk about the hour office times, those things should have been addressed years ago when it first started, but we're too incompetent and inept to deal with those things on a national level. That's in the slaughterhouse of failure. When you talk about the HIP grievances, and Mr. Cariff was talking about that earlier, what a colossal failure by our fuck-up of a president on those HIP grievances and how you handled that or how he mishandled that. That's in the slaughterhouse of failure. I've had 3 individuals reach out to me this week, and I wrote one of them down. I've got a roll of toilet paper in my in my FFV. Do y'all have that? It's a roll of toilet paper, but it's because my nose just starts running. If I sneeze, my nose runs like crazy. So I've got this roll of toilet paper in there, because for my nose. But I wrote this down. It said National Telecom. They overheard a National Telecom. National said, discipline every craft for everything and anything because they are pieces of shit and they steal, and they are basically pieces of shit. That's what it says. Because they steal and they're basically pieces of shit. Then I had somebody else reach out to me, and they said this. Just heard a national telecom. Only other info I got is that management needs to be disciplined for everything. All carriers are stealing time and money. We're all pieces of shit, and all of management are pieces of shit for not having us under control. Now, this is on two opposite sides of the country I got this from. And then there was another one, kind of Midwest, that said the same thing. Hey, just overheard a national telecom where they said discipline the city letter carriers for anything and everything because they're stealing from us. They're all pieces of shit. So all three people said that they're saying that we're pieces of shit and we're stealing from them. That's where we're at right now. Also, somebody sent me this. And it's very hard for me to read, but I've got to read this stuff because it goes hand in hand with what I've been talking about. Now, again, it's very difficult to read. It says, team, this is a Saturday assignment for all city carrier offices, and action is required. On 7/13, your offices earned 0.52 clicks of office time and used 1.14. On 7/20, your office earned 0.56 clicks of office time and used 0.99. Our Saturday office time is getting away from us due to lack of management influence on Saturdays. Action. Tomorrow, July 27th, every city office will report to me before 10 a.m. via email or text that all of your carriers have made it onto the street in less than 1 hour. This can either come from you, your supervisor, or the clerk covering the building. If your carriers do not make it to the street in less than 1 hour, I need a detailed reason why each carrier didn't make it and what your plan is to correct that action. Be aware of the balloon effect, though. If you get them on the street in less than an hour, expect to pivot routes or sell annual at the end of the day. Don't let them work to earned in the morning and then be 25% over base on the street. Let me know if you have any questions. So, that's where they're at. They're telling them in the morning, they're already projecting in the future that we've earned however many clicks of office time. Every carrier should be out of the office within an hour. Well, how do you know that? You don't know my mail volume. You earned this many clicks on this day. You earned this many clicks on this day. Based off of what? Those numbers are based off of PET and DOAS. They're telling you there that they're violating those memos. Every carrier should be out of the office within an hour. If they're not, what's your plan of action? What are you going to do to them? Right? This hour office time should have been addressed years ago when we started that, but that falls into the slaughterhouse of failure. All of those things do. This stationary time, when I read these minutes of this training, that falls into that category, the slaughterhouse of failure. That is what this regime will be remembered for, is that they fell into that category, that slaughterhouse of failure. That will not be our destiny. I promise you that. Right? So on the other side of it, again, we're going to have Mr. Henry come on. He's going to answer questions, whatever questions you have. Mr. Cariff, Mr. Noble. We're going to do some 6-day count training. Also have some other things I want to talk to you about, some things that have come down to me. I'm going to read those minutes on the stationary times because those things will help y'all when we're defending against those things, right? So you got a lot of stuff there about Boston, a lot of stuff going on next week. We're going to have a good time in Boston. We're going to have fun, man. I cannot wait to see everybody. I cannot wait to meet everybody that we've been talking throughout the year. You got Discord and Reddit members coming. Can't wait to meet everybody there. This meet and greet's going to be a good time. Like I said, I will always be respectful of everybody. That's just how I am. I know I talk a lot of shit. Understand this. understand this. When I say I'm a lion doing lion type shit, I will not take any shit from anybody. And it's important for people to understand that. Now, I'm a very nice individual. I'm a very cordial person. I'm fun-loving. I will not fuck around with anybody. Now, with that being said, I love each and every one of you. I really do. And I cannot wait to see you. So many people that we've been talking throughout the year and over social media and on the phone and going to different places. Cannot wait to meet you. We're going to have a hell of a time. Tomorrow, Tyler Vasseur is going to be on, and he's going to kind of give a recap on what they're going to do as far as building fighting NALC and this open bargaining resolution they're going to try to pass, okay? John Poskin came on the other week, and it sounded terrible. That was my fault. Cole tried to help me through that, and I completely screwed that up. So, John, I apologize. The sound was terrible. And so I'm going to try to get him back on. He can kind of recap that last part where it just all went to hell. So, Charlie Miller, thank you for coming on. A lot of great comments on that, and we had a good time with it. And I really appreciate him coming on. JB, thank you for coming on and doing that LWAP to AWOL. That guy always does a fantastic job. We're very fortunate to have him here in Branch 4, educating the members like he does. That dude is something special. And so there you have it, kind of the Boston episode. Extremely long, covered a lot of stuff, had some fun. So I'll see y'all tomorrow with Mr. Tyler Vasseur, and then it's on to Boston, right? It's on to Boston. And we're going to get it on. We're going to have fun. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow with Mr. Vasseur. Bye.